And we're live. Hey,
Hey,
y'all. Thanks for being with us today on this wonderful Friday, the Friday of all Fridays. Quite an exciting day. So yeah, we this will be a little bit different of a show today. We're going to be addressing a lot of very needed things with what's going on and sort of some of the public perception on what's going on, and even some perception within our own community on what's going on. So we'll be getting into that and going into it for as long as we need to before we get to our guests today. So for any guests listening, just be patient for us to get to you. And thank you for waiting. It is going to take a minute. I don't know exactly how long. We are going to go a little bit longer today, just so we can cover everything, because it's vital that we cover this. It's vital that we cover this fully. So with that, I'll hand it over to Charlie and Colleen. Thanks for being here today.
Wonderful, Justin. Thanks for that wonderful introduction and explaining everything to everyone. So, Justin just said the Friday of Fridays, and um, I'm not sure that everyone sees this just yet. But let me assure you, absolutely 100%, this day, which is officially September 11th, 2013, based on the Julian calendar, not the Gregorian bullshit calendar, that this is September 11th of 2013. And this day will never, ever, ever be forgotten. And yet there are a number of you that are just going, ho-hum, nothing happened again today. It just staggers me at the end of this lengthy process, that so many could still be confused or doubt what is happening. So first, what I wanted to share is that for about the last 3 days, maybe longer, probably longer for myself, but Colleen as well. We have been really feeling weird, but in a good way. Nothing bad, but we can feel inside of us that this is the ending of this process, and that yeah, and that what we've been asked to do for the last 4 years, which is nothing short of miraculous, is all coming to an end. And so both of us have been incredibly tired. Not Colleen got a little sick there because she was just so overwhelmed. I'm not sick at all. I'm just tired because, and it was just made so clear yesterday and today that I'm tired because this is the end of an era. It is the end of a massive role that we were asked to play in all of this. And so in terms of tuning into that frequency, which is God, which is what we're committed to doing in every moment of every single day, we have received this message loud and clear, and we feel it profoundly. So when this all started 3, 5, 6, 7 days ago, what we really started to feel was a lot of pain and suffering as well. And I think that's because a lot of the remaining trapped souls that have been attacked, murdered, held against their will, trapped down in this insanity, have finally been released. I think we both felt like a cleansing over, and that was further back. And then it's the last 3 days where we just felt just tired, just nothing else, just tired at the end of this lengthy process. But it started with feeling the pain from this pain body that was being released.
a lot of people in the chat are saying exactly the same thing. Yeah,
Okay.
it's very exhausted.
Okay, so that's fantastic, because what that means is that you truly are doing the work and you are aligning your frequency to God, and therefore you can't not miss these things because they come constantly. This is what God does all the time. Everything in your life is a calm. This is why Q was created the way that Q was created, because this is how God operates in your life. Calm 1, calm 471, calm 1147, calm. They're all calms. Every number that you see flashing on the dial, every time you look at a tree, or every time something presents itself to you, there's a message in it for you. All you have to do is just get rid of your pain body, which is the only thing that's holding you down. That's the ego of the left brain. And once you do this, you just start to become aware. It's mostly how Colleen and I are able to know the things that we know and teach what we've taught, is we've simply removed the idiocy of the left brain and being held down by homicidal maniac, which is what our left brain ego is. The left brain has a function. It has a role, but you cannot give it an inch. You cannot give it any space. You must be in charge, and you are in charge by sitting on the right, casting thy net to the right. And when you do, all of this becomes apparent. All of this, it just becomes commonsensically apparent. And that's why we're able to see the kinds of things that we see and have all those shows with you, where a lot of people, I think, were pleasantly surprised with what they were hearing, but it's just common sense. It's just, at the end of the day, it's common sense. So today, what has occurred today? If you listened to the mainstream media, then this is, I guess, this is the only place that you could be listening to, where you could walk away from this going, well, what a disappointment. Nothing happened again today. I don't know why they would build us up, and then just, let us down again and whatever. You have to be kidding me. Why are you going to the mainstream media? There's a loud sound going off?
Oh, yeah, you're getting messages and we're hearing I think your email notification or something.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that my email was open.
But yeah, just to add to what Charlie's saying, and we're also, we just had a harvest moon and we just shifted into the fall of man too. So we've just got this biblical time period that we're shifting and transitioning. So this can be quite overwhelming on the physical body. And if you're not, so it is important to breathe and center and find that space with the mother. But as Charlie's saying, if you are naturally aligned with what's going on, you are going to feel these things more dramatically. And I know myself, I've had really difficulty sleeping a lot too, just feeling bombarded with things, but also a sense of calmness too, just this knowingness that it's all happening, it's all happening right before us. So yeah, sorry, Charlie, continue.
No, that's great. Thank you, Justin. And, I hearken back to the very first podcast that Colleen and I ever did. And we shared with you on that podcast that we're here to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us God. And through that entire period, we have. And to that end, what we sort of come to sort of recognize or realize is that we have played a role with the plan, because somebody had to do this. And as you saw, and I wanted to bring this up, as you saw on our live show with Negative 48 and Sabrina Gal and Toronto, and Bryce was on with us for a short time before she had to leave. But if you saw that show, then hopefully most of you understood the sort of, it's not a game. I'm just trying to think of the right word, but sort of the stick handling that is going on. And from the beginning, what I said to both Justin and Colleen was that I would be very surprised if they agreed to do a show with us, because I'm not sure at how it helps them at all. And in fact, it really doesn't per se, because anything that they want to that we've done,
That's Telegram.
that's Telegram. Gonna have to just bear with that for a second, I guess. I'll close it for now. But it really benefited us more, say, than it benefited them, because they're not, because of their plan and the way that they need to do this. And remember, they have a much bigger perspective in America, and not just America, but with the average person. And Colleen and I are very disconnected from what an average a person thinks or feels or goes through in the course of the day. We're just away from all of that. So they have a far greater perspective as to how bad things are and how things have to play out. So if you notice on that show, when certain things were brought up and certain things were maybe hinted at, there was a section where Sabrina Gal was sort of mentioning about Adolf Hitler and whatnot. You notice how I simply smiled and I didn't say anything. It isn't my place and it isn't the time. We're way past all of that. We're way past all of that. So you choose either, they're telling you the whole truth in this moment and they know more than we do, or we've been telling you the whole truth all along, because that has been our role. It's been our one purpose, and we're the sort of this, different couple from Canada that do things differently. And so what we became is, for those that really, so many say they want the truth. No. There is a tiny fraction, even now, of all the people that claim themselves to be awake. I love how Michael handles that on his shows on Telegram, where people come in and they'll say, "Hi, Michael, I just want to thank you. I'm so awake now." And Michael's like, "Well, there are levels and degrees." The average person, most people have no interest in hearing the whole truth, because it cuts them to the quick. It cuts them to the core, and it will force them to re-examine everything about themselves and to begin all over again. But begin all over again, you must. And then it gets great, because what you're missing in all of this is that the gift that was never intended by the cabal when they did all of this is that everything is the truth. Everything in our existence, without the lies, without the obfuscation, everything that naturally exists in this, within us and without us, everything upon this earth is the truth, because this earth is the mother, and she is the first thing that God created. And she is the equivalent to God in a dualistic manner, which is what we asked for when we took fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and we weren't prepared to stay in singularity in heaven. We fell, and God loves us so much, instead of punishing us, he gave us a way home. And the only way home is through the mother, and the mother is the truth. Ea, E-A, Ea. Ea is Hoanna. Hoanna is Joanna, John the Baptist. She is the baptism of water. Jesus Christ is the child, is the Son of Man, is this perfect creation through the union of the Father and Mother, who then gives us the baptism of fire. But Jesus can only rise through the mother, for she is Mary, Mare, which is the sea, which is the eternal waters, which is magnetism, which is a scalar wave, which is eternally rising. And this is how it all works. So this is your sole purpose for being here, is to connect to this very simple, straightforward story. Father, mother, child. And it couldn't be easier. And all you need to do is love, aid, respect, honor the mother, listen to the teachings of Jesus Christ, follow the way, which is perfect. Never did Jesus speak anything but that was 100% truth and absolutely perfect. I've never found Buddha to say anything that wasn't perfect and 100% the truth. I've never found Krishna to ever say anything that wasn't 100% accurate, 100% the truth, and absolutely perfect. I've never found anything from these ancients. Zarathustra as well, never found anything that was anything but perfect. And the gift is the Father. So see, because everything is energy, as Tesla said, therefore everything is frequencies. So you have to tune yourself into what is occurring. And what God is telling you, I gave you a mother and the son to show you the way. And then the prize is he in heaven. This is what we get. That's one of the reasons why I released the song today on this day, because I knew intuitively inside of me that this was the day. I knew it. And I released that song today by Procol Harum, and it is a salty dog. A salty dog is Jesus Christ. And when you listen to that song, I gave some clues to it, but it is a perfect song. It is one of the best, if not the best. In 4 minutes, it is, in a 4-minute pop song, it is a perfect explanation of raising the chrism oil, raising Jesus Christ within you, and receiving the prize, which is God in heaven. It is amazing. And I knew this was the day that I needed to release that song. So this is about knowing. And it all starts with faith. And this is what I can't believe what is still occurring with some, even within our own family, is this lack of faith. Faith leads to hope. Hope always leads to knowing. And when you know, you know. When you know the truth. Because when you know, you're in alignment with God, and he is the truth. When you know, you're in alignment with Jesus Christ, who is the truth, is the light, is the way. But you have to know. But it starts with faith. And right now, in this moment, for any of you who are still, after everything we've shown to you, after everything we've taught you about the beauty of magnetism and the choice, how many people 4 years ago literally thought you had an actual choice between life and death, but that you could conceivably live forever, or for long periods of time? You can live forever, but you have to cast thy net to the right. That's why I say that again and again and again, because it's the only way. It's the core of everything. It's your reason for being here. Cast your net to the right. And the fact of the matter is, most people, and we get it, and there's no judgment, because when you've been lied to from the moment that you were born by these demons who are good at what they do, which is pure evil, they're good at being evil, then we get it. But the fact is, you need to wrap your minds around this. I'm talking a number that would frighten you, that most people have raised Satan within them, mothers included. And you know how beautiful and perfect mothers are, mothers included. Most people from about 2001 was a catalyzing event for the likes of Justin, for the likes of us, for the likes of all of you likely in the chat. But for everybody else, it was the moment that they fell and they just gave in. And the fact that it didn't lead to this bullshit with the masks and this fake effing virus sooner is a miracle in and of itself. It's a miracle that it didn't roll out sooner. Once you accepted the Patriot Act, once you accepted that once again you had to give up your freedoms for some bad guys, 19 Arabs, oh, they must be bad people, 19 Arabs with box cutters on these planes. What did experts tell you in the first 48 hours about these jetliners? Trying to fly a plane into one of those two towers is virtually impossible. Doesn't matter what equipment you are, how well you're schooled in it. It's impossible. It's impossible. You can't fly at those speeds at that altitude off the ground. You have to be way higher, because the drag and the friction created by the earth, and especially all of the water in that area in Manhattan, would have forced those planes to come crash landing down. There were no planes on 9/11. Not one. It was all fake. What did most people say on day one on 9/11? What did they say? I didn't see a plane. Might have seen a Cessna, but what I think I saw was like a cruise missile, some kind of missile of some kind. There was nothing. It's fakery. And the good news is that The reports that you've heard about people in the building have virtually largely been mistold, misled. So virtually very few were harmed, or a lot less than what everyone thinks, because the white hats have been at work for a long time. This goes all the way back to Abraham Lincoln. This goes far back from Lincoln, because the moment that Cain killed Abel and the promise of Abel was passed to Seth, then you had good working diligently against evil, and it has never stopped. And so we had a comment from a wonderful friend, follower on MeWe, basically saying, Charlie, you just keep doing these songs, but you've abandoned us in Australia. And it's like, no, you've been in our prayers, our thoughts. You have no idea in Australia how much you are watched. You have no idea how much you are loved and how much you are cared for. And
we know you're on the front lines right now.
For sure. But you asked for it. And you may not like this answer. There's probably no one in Australia hearing this right now, because the protests that are going on, and if you don't know this...
There was somebody from Australia.
Okay, well, they say there's about 10% in Australia that's live with internet service, and the rest of it's all been shut off. Right now, Australia, in this moment, or earlier today, was going through a revolution untold and unseen before. Massive numbers, entire communities. We're talking nurses and engineers and, entire large groups of people, blue collar, white collar, whatever, coming out in massive numbers and rolling through police lines, because they can't stop. They can't stop you. They can only threaten you and make you fear trying to do this in the first place, because you're going to get hurt. They show you these scenes because they want you to see you're going to get hurt if you do this, and then you defeat yourself before you even start. So let me say, Debbie's here, so...
Yeah, wakey. Lots of people from Australia. So
wonderful.
We love you.
Wonderful. So with the situation with Australia, what you need to know is that Colleen and I have been wondering for a long time which of these crown colonies of the British Empire was going to be the one that took it on the chin the most. And we were thinking for a while it was going to be Canada, because Canadians have just been fast asleep inside of Costco, inside of their sons' hockey dreams, and inside of cases of beer. And that has to change. And so Canada has been, whatever Canada has received is righteous. And it is well earned. And what New Zealand, they just want to, tend to their beautiful flowing lands and, raise their sheep and whatever else. But you have to stand strong in the face of tyranny, and you haven't. You've rolled over to just tiny government with tiny police force, and you just rolled over completely to it.
And Mexico here too has done the same thing. They've just rolled over completely. And to a large extent, so has the UK. And the UK, if you've noticed, the UK has not been necessarily as much on the front lines of late, because they've begun to fight back, which is what the point of this was all along, to show your S pine, to show the tree of life, the pine tree within you. And then S is sovereign. S, because that's the Kundalini rising, which raises you up over those that would rule over you, and they're under you. So that's overstanding, and that's why it's the S pine, because you must rise with your authority. No, they all work for you. They all swore oaths to you. The government swore an oath to serve you. Police swore an oath to protect you. They're not doing it, and you're tolerating it, and their numbers are tiny in comparison to you. This is all about standing up. The movie is real, because if this movie wasn't real, then everybody would just be winking at the camera, and you'd be going, okay, I get it, but seriously, when can we start having some money? This is serious. This movie is playing out like it's actually happening. In some degrees, it's happening to certain extents. But believe me, we are not wiping out children left, right, and center. That isn't happening. No, I heard a story. Because there are actors everywhere. Because this is a movie. And you have to believe that this movie is real. Because if you don't, then we're going to have to do this all over again. This has to be real. It has to become the greatest movie ever made, because you have to wake out of your cocoon and be the butterfly for eternity. You've got to wake up. That's what this process is. It's about awakening to the gift that God has given you, the Mother Earth, which is abundance everywhere. Nobody can own this. What are you doing going to a store buying a pineapple or a mango when they grow bananas, when they grow abundantly free everywhere on the earth? Add a little water. Add a little water does the rest. But we've all agreed that somehow the native people who were first don't own the land anymore, and a tiny group of white people that we don't even know their names and don't know much about them, but they seem to own all of these tropical countries where all the fruit. We're not allowed to live there, but they seem to own that land, and then they charge money for it. But of course, they have to pick it really early, so then nothing is vine ripened. It all has to be sprayed with chemicals, perfume, to be able to ripen within the supermarket for you. So you see, all of this is flat out wrong. All of this is horrific, but because we have allowed it to be that way. And Australia, there's no other way to say this. You have been targeted the worst because it's the worst there. Remember all the stuff 2 years ago Colleen and I were doing about reporting all of the tunnels and what they found? How big those tunnels were, that they went all the way around Australia and then through Victoria province, that it was just sort of like it was just insane. It was a maze. And then we told you New Zealand and the Southern Island, and in the most sacred locations that are considered to be, people really sort of frown on other people going there because these are very sacred lands, sacred areas on the Southern Island. That's where they're going. That's where they've been going, right underneath the ground. So all of this has been happening right under our noses. But again, I just bought a new suit, or I just got a new dress, or we got tickets to go see. And that's more important than children disappearing left, right, and center. Your personal rights and freedoms disappearing left, right, and center. And then the most insane things by celebrities being taught to your kids. And you're totally okay with that.
And the whole fact that these passports are coming out, and people are, I know people are saying, well, we better get vaccinated because we need to go to the restaurants. We need to go on that flight for our vacation. And it's just like, oh, wow.
Satanism.
Wow. Absolutely. So it just boggles my mind. It boggles my mind. But we have been absolutely MK Ultra'd, and it is absolutely kicking our ass, and we need to wake up.
Thank you, Angel. It's so true. And these earthquakes that are going off are the sort of the last. They're signals as much as blowing the remaining bits, entrances of tunnels once and for all.
Because they need to destroy these places, right? And you can't imagine they're just complete concrete. So there has to be some pretty big shakeup to get rid of these places, and that's absolutely what they're doing.
Yeah, and Danny's saying in the chat that Lake Geneva is connected to Greenland. I can tell you further that Lake Geneva is connected. It's a circle. They see it as the center of Europe. They see it as the center of their land-based operations. The Vatican gets all of the attention, but why do you think Switzerland is a neutral country? A neutral country. They don't do anything except hold on to your money for you. They deposit your money. Lake Geneva is a circle, and it spirals in 360 degrees, and there are maglev trains that run everywhere. And here's something else that I want to share with you. The files that they have collected, when this comes, and it will be revealed, when it comes common knowledge,
the level of knowledge that they had about each and every single one of us, it's going to unnerve you. It is going to challenge you at the core. They have studied and they have cataloged everyone, everywhere. And they keep files and they keep records on everyone. And then they do experiments. Remember the Tears for Fears song, which I'm going to be doing soon, releasing that soon, which is the working hour. We are paid by those who learn from our mistakes. For 110 years after somehow we shoved Tesla out the door for the bullshit of the Jesuits and their frontman Albert Einstein, what did Tesla say? He said that the theory is a beggar off the streets, but it is covered in purple royal robes, and the ignorant hail it as royalty, but it's still just a beggar from the streets. What did Tesla say the Earth is? The Earth is not a planet. The Earth is a system environment. The Earth is level. The Earth operates through magnetic electricity. Everything is within the ether. Electricity is a downward causation. Magnetism constantly rises. Magnetism is the boundary, which is the firmament, and that the planets and the seven visible planets, two of which, of course, are the sun and the moon, are magnetically levitating, and that the stars, Tesla said the stars are attached to the firmament. I tend to believe that the stars are openings within the firmament, which is the only way out of here, which is how we rise to the oceans above in pure consciousness. But you have to be light to be able to rise. And that's why they push Satanism at every turn, because it's about darkness. See, and this isn't some cute allegory. It isn't. It isn't. This is simple nuts and bolts physics and mathematics 101. It's geometry 101. If you're filled with darkness inside, dark foods, you're part of the death cult, the death club, you're eating death and you participate, you're supporting these we call them rastros here, but the slaughterhouses in the world. If you're going to the supermarket to purchase your food, you're paying for the privilege of them killing you, and they charge you for it, and they make you wait in line, and it's incredible. It's incredible. Supermarkets are designed to murder you. It's murder 101. TV is murder 101. Hollywood movies, for the most part, murder 101. And books that are on the New York Times best-selling list are murder 101. So this is our reality. So what I want to do now is just jump back to the beginning of the show where we said that everything is happening today. So I'm just going to quickly open up Telegram again for a sec here. So if you hear certain sounds, it's just all the pinging and dinging on Telegram.
Yeah, and just before you jump back into that, to add a few thoughts on what you've shared. I think it's really important to remember that we're all experiencing exactly what we need to, and Charlie touched on that everyone, no matter where you are experiencing exactly what you need to. So, and this is much larger than a one-time lifetime. Oh, I did something in this life to not deserve this, but to experience this. This is a soul contract. So we're all experiencing perfectly what we need. And so you can either choose to observe it from that perspective and empower yourself and act righteously and stay in the present moment and continue acting out as you need to, or you can choose to be a victim and say, oh, why is this happening to me? Why is this going this way? Why am I not seeing things happen the way that I want them to? And then you just end up going around and around and around again. It's all a choice. So I'd really invite everyone to really start looking at things as they're happening to them. There's nothing happening to you. It's all happening for you. It's happening for you to inspire you to do something, to act in a certain way, to move about a certain way, to encounter and learn some lessons that you want to learn, that you at the highest level wanted to learn. So really empower yourself with that mentality, because when we start to get into this victim mindset and let fear dominate us, then we're just inviting our ego to take over, and we're encouraging more time to be in that space. We're saying, God, I'm not ready to learn and move past this lesson. I'm not ready to graduate and move on. So I'm going to have to experience this even longer. So really empower yourself and learn and act righteously. Just stay present, stay and be within that. And, to tack on to that, I think a lot of people's, disappointment often stems from this tricky tool that the ego likes to employ, which is expectation. We get into this idea that things have to go a certain way. And I build out this idea that something has to play out in a way that my mind or my ego has made it to, has invented. And then we set these conditions that if it doesn't go this way, then I'm going to be upset. Subconsciously or consciously, it doesn't matter. So if you can let go of these expectations that this plan, this movie, or anything in life has to play out a certain way, and just truly be present, it all comes back to that presence. Just stay present and don't let those expectations get to you. Because I know a lot of people were saying, oh, well, the EBS is going to happen today. And we don't know how this movie is going to play out. We don't know what's going to happen exactly. But if you don't see, if you allow those expectations to come in and they don't come to fruition, you get into that doubtful, fearful mindset. And then you miss out on the present, and then you don't even see what's going on around you. And so we have all these people who are just stuck in that fear mindset, and they're not even looking at everything that is happening. And so you create this reality that nothing is happening because you're stuck in that mindset. So just get out of that left brain, egoic dominated world, the false world, and get into reality, which is the present moment. Stay present, act righteously, let God guide you, and he will always lead you exactly where you need to go. But presence is presence. It's that simple.
And everything that Justin is saying is that it starts with faith. Faith builds to hope, and hope leads to knowingness. And when you know, you know. When you know, then you have the right frequency. And then you just know, because this is the frequency. This is what you're tapping into. This is who you are. When you hear this, when you listen to that and you go, I know, but that sounds so million years in the future, that sounds so airy-fairy. No, you just believe in the lie. You're just a nerd in the lie. You think that this dumbed down form is who we are. We're not. We're the pinnacle of his creation. Do you think he's an idiot? This is his plan. This is his intervention, because this has all gone on for too long. And it all starts with trust in God. And how many people don't even believe in God? How many people think that this is all just random? Really? The people that gave you theories like evolution and a lot of these other bullshit concepts all told you the same thing. Look at the human eyeball. Look at a single strand of DNA. Makes the theory that I kind of regurgitated up one day, makes it seem rather idiotic. But you never see those comments. You never read those in your science books. You just take the lie. And so you just believe in the lie. And that's all this is. That's all this is. You are magic. But when you use the word magic to most literate Christians, what will they tell you? You're the devil. You're pure evil, because there's no magic in the Bible. Jesus didn't teach magic. Magic is evil. Sorry.
That's all we thought.
Yeah, that's all he taught.
What book are you reading? Have you read it? And of course, what happens for a lot of people is that they do read the Bible, but then they go to these Bible study classes that are always run by bullies. You ever notice that? Whether they're kids, younger, whatever, they're all bullies. And if you express the wrong interpretation, you get attacked. So you don't leave those little Bible study meetings without their bullshit interpretation. Read it for yourself. That video that I did, if two things more than anything else that I did over the last 4 years that will stand out the most are the takedown of the cabal from A to Z and the takedown of organized religion from A to Z. Both of you tell you what's been going on and what the truth has been all along. How anyone can watch the takedown of organized religion from A to Z and not get this, I mean, you're lost. But you can be found. The trick is you just have to want to be found, because everything is about takeoff and then destination. So you have to soar, you have to rise. If you take off, you start to rise, you will completely always find God. But get off your belly, get off your knees, get off the ground, get into the air. Where is God? In the air. Why is Tiffany blue associated with the Kennedys and the Trumps? Why? What's the color of the sky? Tiffany blue. So it's straightforward. So now, listen to some things here I'm going to read to you. This is from today, okay? Now, before I start that really quickly, if you were expecting to hear this on some organized media, mainstream media channel, forget about it. Because, and we've been telling you this for at least the last 3 years, is that's not what the mainstream media was ever created for. It's not about sharing information. Information is just bullshit. If it was the truth, they'd call it the truth. They call it information because it's lies and they know it. They don't want to call it the truth. So they invented the word information, and then we just all buy it. So you want to get the news of what's going on?
Or under the umbrella of news.
News, right? News. Yeah. And they're just sewing a different tapestry, the one that is different from what is really happening. There isn't a single story ever released on the mainstream media that has been anywhere close to being true. Not anything.
Even just look at the word information. It keeps us in formation. In that controlled fashion.
Yeah,
exactly.
Look at the O.J. Simpson trial. When the truth comes out about the O.J. Simpson trial, you simply won't believe it. You will not believe that it was all virtually actors. It was all fake. The whole thing was fake, and it had the whole world riveted one way or another, divide and conquer, on something that didn't happen. And that these lawyers were all actors. You wait till you see this, you wait till you see this, you wait till it's revealed. Your entire reality has been bullshit. I told you, I warned you ages ago, they're good at what they do. And what they do is lie. And what they do is try to kill us. And they're good at what they do. So we all start dying at 60 and nobody bats an eye. Because, well, they're 60. You have to be kidding me. 60, it's like you were just born. You're just born and then you die. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. So you're never going to hear it on the mainstream media. If you listen to that today and you got depressed today because nothing happened today, that's on you. That's absolutely on you. You have to be, go back to the movie Network. You mass maniacs, you people are the real thing. We're the fakes. But you dress like the tube, and you talk like the tube, and you act like the tube, and you raise your children like the tube. Everything you do is based on the tube, and we're the lie. You're the real thing. You take your power back. Wasn't it ever a clue to you that everything in our society was owned by rich people, and that they're very small, and that we're the many? But that everything that we got to survive in this world, like an education or healthcare or food or clothing, it all comes from a tiny group that maybe likes the way that they've got everything and the rest don't. Did that never seep into you at some point that something's wrong here? Again, I've been blessed in my life to be a certain way and to be able to have the ability to think. And at a young age, as I shared with you many times before, that it came to me that their story about the world being out there and that there's nothing we can do about it can't be right. It can't be right. And once I knew that, then it was death for the cabal. Once I knew that that was the lie and that there had to be another way that we could be in control, then that was the death for the cabal. Like I say to you about space, it can't be the way that they teach space, because it would be an elitist move to give power to those who can create power, who have the ability, left brain monsters, to attract and accumulate huge amounts of wealth by killing enormous amounts of people. So There's no way it would be made that way. What makes more sense? That it's inside of you, that it's free, that it's open 24/7, 365, and that it's limitless, that you can go anywhere and visit anyone and anything because you are the Galaxy-class Star Cruiser. You don't realize that you are the USS Enterprise. Enter within and receive the prize, which is God. So here's what you missed today if you weren't looking on where you know is the truth. Who do you think owns Telegram? I think Michael made that very clear on our show the other night. It's clearly the White Hats, and that may probably, like Colleen feels strongly, that it's the Kennedys that own Telegram.
Created it. Yeah.
So where are you looking for your truth? I know, but it's just Telegram. It's just stupid, and it's just somebody's account. And blah, blah. No, that's the truth. Did you not get this? We're digital warriors. We're the heroes. Remember what Michael said on our show? Said, Charlie, you and Colleen and everybody else that's been doing their thing, there's a place for you. There's a place for you in the real history books, because what we're going to realize is that digital warriors have been the front lines of truth, because you're never going to get it in the mainstream media. So from Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, her channel is now known as CBK on Telegram. Highly recommend. If you're not subscribed to it already, do so. For immediate release, Senator Kelly Townsend reacts to the Arizona election audit report, Phoenix, Arizona, September 24, 2021. Remove 13 days, and it's September 11. I am thoroughly shocked, yet not surprised, at the product that was delivered to the people of Arizona by the hands of Adrian Fontes regarding the 2020 general election. Although the raw numbers of votes show a similar outcome to the official canvass, the important outcome is that the votes that were counted could not be trusted as actual or true voter submissions according to Arizona state law. However, what we learned today is that there is a myriad of issues with the counting process that undermine the confidence in the true and accurate count of this election. The election system simply does not balance. Some of the issues that jump out immediately are as follows. Deleted purged files. The timing and deleted of files the day before the February 2nd, 21 audit, Maricopa County purged the machine records the day before the audit started. And don't panic. The NSA have everything. So don't panic. They're going to do what they're going to do. And we got them. It's a movie. Don't panic.
But they are actually supposed to keep all of that information for, 22 months?
Yeah.
Following an election?
Following an election.
But they purged them.
But they purged them, because this is what rats and liars and Satanists do. So many .exe executable files and DLL files, approximately 1,500, were either deleted or modified. No security or credential management. There were shared accounts and passwords which made the identification of those deleting or purging files difficult, but not impossible. Duplicate ballots were grossly mismanaged, and our laws were broken regarding the important part of the election, this important part of the election process. Chain of custody was not accurately kept, making it impossible who touched what and when. Envelopes without signatures, images of ballot envelopes with an apparent approval stamp behind the basic graphics of the envelope suggesting tampering. Connecting to the internet has been established in violation of Arizona law and contrary to what we've been told about the system. Sloppy caretaking of ballots, missing batches and boxes not listed on the box or county list. These are just a few of many issues brought up today and necessitate a dramatic change in the way we oversee our elections and how we hold those accountable who have broken our laws. Most importantly, whenever there is malfeasance or skullduggery, I love those two words, by the way, we must both nullify that election and repeat it with one more securely conducted, and we must move forward with indictments of those who perpetrated this fraud against us.
So they need to decertify the election.
Senator Kelly Townsend from the Arizona election audit report today. Trump! Arizona audit was a big win for democracy today and a big win for us. Wow. Thanks. In those closing remarks, AZ Senate Judiciary Chair Warren Peterson identified 8 issues that need to be addressed. Sorry, who is he again? Arizona Senate Judiciary Chair Warren Peterson identified 8 issues that need to be addressed. And likely what most of these issues are is all the things that occurred just prior to the audit starting, all the things that they did to try and obfuscate their tracks and to protect the bullshit outcomes. We got it all. We got it all. Don't ever doubt that. Trust God. Trust in the plan. We got it all. Don't worry. If they tried to, don't worry. We knew they would. It's all good. It's all good. And where did it go? Oh, that's how fast her page. Okay, and this is from This is a statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America, September 24th, 2021. So this is today, and this is an official statement from the desktop of Donald J. Trump. I will be discussing the winning results of the Arizona Forensic Audit, winning results of the Arizona Forensic Audit, which will show 44,000 possibly illegal ballots cast tomorrow at the great state of Georgia rally, which will be packed. So, nothing happened today, or did everything happen today? Not enough for you? Where are you going to get more? Where are you going to get more information? From CBS? Yeah, so we just wanted to tell you, we've all been lying to you forever, and we've all been eating your children forever, and you need to come take us down and murder us, okay? So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed that little update, and have a nice night. They're never going to tell you this. They're never going to admit to anything. So everything that happened in the mainstream media today is perfect, and everything that's on Telegram is telling you the truth. Patrick Bouvier Kennedy. If there were over 50,000 illegal votes in the GOP-controlled Maricopa County, just imagine what we're going to find in Atlanta, Detroit, and Philadelphia. You remember the show, the live show? I love that show. It's maybe my favorite show that we ever did, and that was like a 6-hour live election night show. Do you remember that? We had lots of people on the show. It was great. And when we jumped on, it was already clear that it was too close to call, and Biden had already won, and Charlie predicted 50-0, and it was going to be the biggest landslide in history, and people are going, Charlie, you're wrong. And do you remember me that night? Those that have been here, do you remember me? I think that was my shining moment, because the entire night, while others were sort of panicking all around, I was just smiling and laughing, and I reassured you all night long that and I still stand by 50-0, maybe 49-1, I don't know, but I would say 50-0. Biden never had more than about 11 people show up to any one of his supposed rallies, and that was mostly they were in cars, and nobody could see if anyone was actually in the car, by the way. And everywhere Trump went, do you remember that? California always votes Democrat now, right? Yeah, they're not interested in conservative values and stuff. Do you remember those lineups on those massive I-5 freeways in California for Trump? Do you remember that? But he lost California. Really? I don't think so. He destroyed them in California. Can't wait for that one to come out. And as I said, as a kid, I played so much sports. In summer camps, I was invited down into the States for football, baseball, different camps, and I billeted with different families in Washington, Oregon, and California. And every time I did, I was blown away by these entire communities that were patriots, that these entire communities that raised their kids the right way. I felt comfortable in their homes, and that being away, a little kid from Canada and being away from my mom and dad, I felt totally comfortable, welcome, loved in their homes. And everywhere you looked in these communities were conservative, goodly, godly values. They were good people.
And now everyone believes that, of course, if it's an election, Washington, Oregon, and California are going to vote Democrat. No, 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 no. The first time they went, other than for JFK, the only time after was Bill Clinton. And then because Clinton was rolled in when they had their technology perfected, and then it's been election fraud ever since. You ever wonder how an absolute piece of animal excrement like Nancy Pelosi could win all those elections simultaneously by the hugest margins, like 80 to 20, 77 to 23 and stuff? You have to rig the elections to believe that Nancy Pelosi could be elected for anything other than Chief Jackal. So
just real quickly, I just wanted to ask the community if anyone has a copy of that 6-hour show or knows where it is broadcasted anywhere. Please let me know, because I was looking for it and I can't figure out where it is.
It's recorded. I'm not sure why. I don't know how. I love that show. If anyone has, if you can ask around within the community and see if somebody has that show recorded. I'm sure a number of people probably did. That was a great show, and I would really, really love to get that show back. And again, all that night, that's what I told you, and now it's going to play out. It's all going to unveil, and it started today. Today is the day. Today is the day. It's the first day of the rest of your lives, and this is a reality moving forward with God. So you have to be worthy of this gift. And the worthiness is all about energy. Again, Nikola Tesla told you, it's all about energy, therefore frequency. You must align yourself to the frequency that is God. Now, I'm going to make this so simple. And this is what we teach every single week, and it's what we have tried to display to you always, is kindness and honesty. That's what we are. We're mankind. And to be a man is to be honest, and to be kind defines us. We're mankind, and this is how we move forward. If you move forward doing nothing more than just be kind to everyone and to always be honest, no matter what it is. How do I look in this dress, honey? I have to be. I can only be honest. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And remember, God is full of forgiveness, but you have to mean it. You have to change. You cannot fake it. You cannot fake this from God because it's a frequency. You can't fake a frequency. So if you're still harboring evil and dark thoughts inside of you, then you are not going to align to God, and you're going to miss all of this. While virtually everybody else is literally walking on thin air, you're still going to be in pain and suffering. I did a show the other day on Mark Devlin's channel, and I love to do them. Mark's like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Because my audience, they're not huge fans of yours." And I said, "I know, that's hilarious, right? Because we did those shows together, and there are literally people that are saying that the takedown of the cabal from A to Z is the best thing that they've seen in telling the truth or teaching the truth that they've ever seen, and a significant percentage of your audience." And I said, "Mark, you're not going to like this, but I have to tell you, that's because the vast majority of your audience are Satanists, and they don't mean to be. I get that, but they are. And they need to ever so often have me come on there and to tell it like it is." And they just, Mark said, "I can't believe the shitstorm I'm taking after that show." And I said, "Yeah, but it's a good thing, Mark. It's a good thing, because as I said, Friday is the real September 11th, and they're not going to let this pass by. So everything is going to start happening. And when it does, they're going to be stuck with their reality, where instead of trusting in a show that is proven by the mainstream media to be true, and how everything played out. And we did 4 shows with Mark, all the way to the last show, which was that it's all a movie, and the great takedown of the cabal happened on Christmas Eve on 2016 in Venice. I can't believe that Michael confirmed that with us on the live show the other night. That was incredible, because with that stuff, that all just came to me through God. That all was just downloads to me. And so to have Michael confirm all of that is absolutely wonderful. But on Mark's channel, we did it all. We did 4 shows showing how this all worked, how evil it all was, how this takedown process started, what we need to do to reverse things, and what this is going to look like, and that everything is a movie. It's going to get worse before it gets better, because you don't trust, and so you have to see it to believe it. And so, as I said to Mark, I loved doing that show, and I love the response, because it's forcing people to declare who they are and where they stand. And that's okay, because you have to start somewhere. And for those that are choosing the wrong side of this, it's going to be their comeuppance. And then they have to choose. And there are going to be some that will not leave their ego. They're going to be doubters. They're going to continue to turn to freaking liars like Max Egan and some of these other assholes that have just pushed the panic. And I know, but Charlie, they've taught some truth.
Now,
Coded.
While we do hopium, they do fear porn.
Yeah. And what do we say? Faith leads to hope. Hope leads to knowingness. And you accuse us of becoming hopium artists. Is that the best you got for Charlie and Colleen? Nobody attacks us on our content. Nobody attacks us on you can live forever, that God is actually real, and that magnetism is the way, and it's a scalar wave, and that the third ventricle of your brain is. Nobody touches any of that. They just go, don't like you. Don't like you. You're a hope. You sell hopium. I'm an angry truther. The whole world sucks. See, I'm what's right. I'm what's good. The whole world sucks. No, it doesn't. You've just been lied to. Get over it. So that's where we're at. Today was an amazing day. How you choose to view the rest of the show tonight, and where we go from here, is entirely up to you. It started today. This is the beginning of the final countdown for the cabal. They've already been taken out, but their system needs to crash and burn. And it started today. This is it. So everything you've asked for is happening. And some of you are going, ho-hum, nothing happened today. Ye of little faith, why do you think that expression exists? Ye of little faith. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not what I say or do? Why? Well, because I want to get into heaven somehow, but I don't want to do the work. But I want to get into heaven. So, Lord, Lord, I love you, but I'm not prepared to tell the truth. Sorry about that, Jesus, but I love you. So we have to change. You have to change, and you have to cast thy net to the right, and that's being kind and being truthful. And I'll let Colleen and Justin chime in, and then we'll jump into the guests here. But everything happened today. Everything started today. It's game on. This is it.
Now let's just take a look at the fact that the Biden administration is in power. And they've just discovered that there were many, many issues with the election, with the Arizona audit. So how does this go over? Right? So how are the dark hats, how are they going to respond to this? Suggested perhaps that they shut the internet down, or they stop the information from flowing, which they have, with apparently not sharing the truth on mainstream media. So I haven't watched mainstream media, but maybe you guys have. But I'm sure they're not sharing the truth. From what I can tell from what others are saying, is that they're just saying that, yes, Joe Biden won the election. So there's nothing to see here, which is the furthest thing from the truth. So tomorrow, when Trump does his rally and speaks, and maybe even before that, I don't know, but how this plays out with the military and how they decide to move forward, it's got to happen at some point. It won't be very long, is my guess.
It's a movie and it's a series of events. So when I say it all started today, it means that the fuse is lit and nothing can stop it. We always talked about this with you, right? We're just waiting for the day where the fuse actually gets lit, and then there's nothing can stop what's coming. This is the series of events. And if you're frustrated that it has to play out this way, this is what we shared with you 3 years ago or 2 years ago, for sure, minimum 2 years ago. And that's this. You will never, ever get the truth through the mainstream media, because that was never the intent of the mainstream media. So the mainstream media will always have to continue the lie down to the last second. And this is what's going to bring them down.
So the military will have to shut them down.
Well, and it may play out that way. We don't know, because there's a myriad of ways that this can play out, and they've left clues for us, but they've offered different pathways. So it could. Remember, Trump did create the Insurrection Act on January 6th, when after his speech in the morning of January 6, 2021, in the afternoon, he encouraged people to go back home and to be peaceful in the face of all of these riots. That's all that was necessary to enact the Insurrection Act. So the Insurrection Act has been in place since the afternoon of January 6th. And that's what we shared with you on the night of that live show that we did on January 6th. And then we got deplatformed everywhere that night. The next morning, we were gone off of everything. So it's what's been happening. Why do you not see military committing atrocities anywhere? It's the police, because they're showing you the difference between the military and the police.
Yeah, and even now, each of these steps that has to play out is just designed to continue to flush out the rats, the lower level minions that it's hard to say until they've actually committed a crime. You can't arrest anyone, you can't hold anyone to account until they've actually committed a crime. So this election audit results and what's being pushed through the normal process is just another opportunity for the rats to expose themselves, because they know that if this gets through, that they're done for. So they have to act, and they know that if they act, they're likely going to get caught. But they have no choice. So it's a catch-22 for them. It's checkmate whichever way they play their hand. But just remember that, as these events play out, it's not for you. It's not to convince you that this is all going on. It's to convince the larger public, and it's to flush out the rats. So this is, it's very calculated in that sort of sense. But you gain that when you take that perspective. So as soon as you start getting too worried or not seeing things, take a break from whatever you're looking at, turn it all off, go outside, to put your bare feet on the ground, do some breathing. And you can come back to it if you want to, but it's not necessary for us to really stay super engaged with this. It's really not necessary for us to pay attention to this magnitude, especially if it's consuming you, especially if it's only driving you to this idea, this expectation, like nothing's happening or whatever else. And so just take a break from it, and you're not going to miss anything, I promise you, because when things actually start to happen in a much more drastic way, we're all going to know. So take a break when you need to.
Yeah, we'd like you we'd like you very much to take a strong interest every day now in what's going on. But like Justin said, if you're still not on the right side of this and it's getting the best of you, then it is better to just show your faith and to steer clear of it. But this is that moment in time. This is it, and so we think you should be present for what's coming. I think you should have front row seats. Remember what George Carlin said. When you're born into this world, you're given front row seats to the shit show. And he said when you're born in the United States, you're given front row seats on the 50-yard line. And so this has all been done for you. So we would encourage you to be present through all of this. And now it's time. Now is the time to go back into your family and to really, really put this stuff back to them again, because their world
is all about to come tumbling down. And they're going to see the insanity of the decisions that they've been making, the absolute insanity of the beliefs that they've held on to. And how at the end of the day, you'll be able to show them that you were literally tricked into becoming Satanists instead of the children of God, and that's truly what we are. And then you'll be the ones that will lead them in the direction of the promised land. But they have to do the work, and if they choose not to do the work, that's on them. And everybody was gifted free will. But just remember Revelation, 1,000 years, 1,000 years. So those that make the wrong choice, just know that the rewards you receive are always justified. They're always righteous in every single moment, because they always match the thoughts and the actions that you do. So this is that moment. Deny it or accept it. Show faith to God. We're not asking you to show faith in Charlie Free. We're asking you to show faith in God, because it's the only way to get hope, and hope is the only way for you to connect to knowing. And that's the whole point of this, is to know thyself, and then you'll see who you truly are and what God is to you. So these are blessed, blessed, blessed times. And let me reiterate what Colleen and I shared at the top of the show to you, and that's this. We know. When you know, you know. What we've gone through for the last 10 days, I guess, in general, but in particular the last 3 days, and what I went through today is incredible. It is absolutely incredible. And so we know because we're in tune to this. And so I'm telling you what I know, and I know.
Well said. All right, well, should we get into our guest today? All right, let's do it. So JC, you are up first. Hey, brother, can you hear us? All right, well, should we get into our guest today? Yeah, so if you just want to mute the YouTube video so we don't get the feedback, and then, yeah, turn your camera on. Hey, brother.
Hi, JC.
Hey guys, so great to be with you.
Yeah, you too, brother. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, my heart is like bursting through my chest right now. I think my body like gets the significance of being on this call with you today on such a big day. And I echo what you have said, Charlie. Like the last 3 days have been the best 3 days of my entire life. Like it's they've just been so profound and so magical. And yeah, to be on the call with you today now is just like, wow, like how good can it get? You know, it's just going to keep getting better and better from here. Do you guys want to hear something funny?
Yes. Of course.
So I'm in a van at the moment because I'm doing the whole van thing, and I've just purchased some land. I purchased 133 acres, and I settled on my 33rd birthday. And last week we started to create a community, you know, fruit and vegetable garden, and we just intuitively walked it out, and then we measured it, and it was 33 meters by 33 meters, and it's on top of a mountain, and it's a 9-kilometer drive up the mountain. And when I was in town this morning getting some supplies for the garden, I put the address in the GPS, and then it was 33 minutes to drive back up to the property.
Wow.
I was just like, you got to be kidding me, right?
And JC, the only way that these happening.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of feedback from your end, brother. I'm not sure.
I wonder. I've got YouTube's fully off.
It sounds like it's coming from Zoom. Well, now it seems good. Just make sure your audio is coming through your headphones, which
Yeah, no,
sounds
it's definitely coming through here.
Okay, good. So just really quickly, just want to say those things can't happen unless you've done the work and you are in alignment with that frequency. And then I don't want to miss this point to everyone. This is what the rest of your life is like, and it never stops. It never, ever stops, and it only gets better. It only gets better. It's like coding and help and assistance and gnosis, and every single moment, it's the most incredible thing. When you connect to God, you will never grow tired of eternity. You will never, ever get bored of your eternal life, because every day it gets better and better and better and better. And so I just want to say you can absolutely know that what JC is sharing with you is all real, because you can't have those things unless you're in alignment to God's frequency. So thank you for doing the work, for sharing that.
Yeah, so look, I've got some questions I want to jump into, but I guess the first thing I want to share is that, yeah, look, I jumped into doing a lot of research and a lot of work. I'm 33. I started probably when I was 18, and did a bunch of 21-day water fast, and I was actually vegetarian at the time, moving into a 21-day water fast, and I was doing this water fast, and I watched like 3 seasons of Vikings. And I literally went back to eating meat after the water fast, because I'm like, we're these primal warrior beings, what am I'm meant to be strong, and just from being indoctrinated by that series, I started to eat meat again, and then I've been down the most wild, like health wellness journey over the past 10 years, and the one thing that I could never get clarity on was, should we eat meat or should we not eat meat? There was just no clarity. There was so much noise out there, and especially living in Australia, the Aboriginal people have always eaten meat here, but they've had sacred connections with the animals. They would eat turtles and echidnas and wallabies, and that was always the thing that would anchor me back into maybe it is the right thing, and that's how we've evolved. And then I guess it wasn't until coming across all of your stuff that you just joined all the dots together for me, and I just had the biggest epiphany ever. The magnetism and the acid alkaline and the endocrine system. That was really the part that just tied it all together for me, like really understanding the endocrine system, and then looking back at why people were eating meat a long time ago, and you just got to look at how much killing and how much war was going on in those times, and I guess we're moving out of those times, and maybe that's why so many people are transitioning now. But yeah, I just wanted to start with that and say thank you, because if I didn't come across your work, I feel like I'd still be floating in the middle of like, what the hell should we be eating? There's no clarity out there. And it wasn't.
And JC, there should be, and there will be, because very soon, when what has been withheld from us from the Bible, what was meant to be in the Bible, which is the wholeness of the teachings of Jesus Christ, you're going to see what Jesus had to say about what we should be eating and what we shouldn't be, and that we are the shepherds of this earth. It is so common sense, of course, that we are, and we do not betray the sacred trust that animals
are our brothers and sisters.
Put us. They are our brothers and sisters. We are one, and we are the pinnacle of God's creation. We have to start acting like it. So that is a real key thing. Is that you're going? Everyone is, and they can choose to deny it all they want, but it's the truth. Jesus only spoke the truth. They hid. You wait till all the things about, especially again about women, about the earth and the workings of the earth itself, and about animals. These are key things, because what they do is they take the feminine part of us away and they turn us into phallic symbols, and then it is hunting and gathering. And by the way, with regard to the Plains Indians of the Americas, or the Aboriginals of Australia and other parts of this precious earth, how do we know that they always ate animals? The fact of the matter is what we do know about them is that they used to migrate north and south, not east and west. They used to migrate north and south, and the reason is because When it got too cold in certain areas, they went to another part where it was warmer. And the fact of the matter is, it gave them the ability to eat fruit or to eat vegetables all year round. And when they got taken off their lands, when their lifestyle of constantly migrating to where it was right for them was taken away from them, this is where they came in. By the way, this is where you see the average life expectancy of these native populations just plummet, because they went from pristine alkaline beings and bodies into acidic, and then they gave them alcohol. So you give these beautiful alkaline creations alcohol and meat, and they killed them. It's genocide. They lie and they murder. This is what the cabal does, and they're good at it. They lie and they murder, and it was a 1-2 whammy with the Aboriginal peoples.
And I bet before they fell, they didn't eat.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, no, we don't know what they were doing 100,000 years ago. We're just going off the last 100 years.
And they are brilliant, and they are in tune, so much more in tune than we are. But what were they doing before they fell?
Yeah, and we've got some of the most amazing medicinal bush foods in this country, you know. Things like kakadu plum, you know, one of the richest sources of vitamin C on the planet, you know. All up north, you know, with the sun.
Very cool.
Great. All right, so I'll jump into the first question, and I've heard, Charlie, I've heard you speak about, you know, the notion of having children and how distorted it is, how everyone's, you know, especially with the churches, you know, have 5 kids at the age of 18 and don't have sex till you get married. And then, you know, fast forward to the era now, there's like, everyone's just, you know, depressed, stuck in the system. And then they feel like if they have kids, that's going to make them happy, you know, and they're, you know, so they're stuck in the cities, stuck in the job. And then, you know, I'm 30, I'm going to die in 40 years. And I better have 3 kids, but I still haven't traveled or worked out, you know, any sort of depth of meaning of life just yet. And I guess the question's more around, like, what does it mean to have children on this planet in the sense of, you know, karmic cycling? Like, what does it mean if we have children here? Are we coming back here again? Like, do you have any gnosis on that? And, you know, at where I'm at my life, if a beautiful woman came into my life and she's like, I want to have a child with you, you know, what sort of discernment or what sort of observations would I want to bring into that, given my situation, you know, which is more sort of disconnected from the system? I believe you have one child, from what I've heard you say. But yeah, I'm sort of fascinated around, you know, what energetic cords may we be creating on this planet? And maybe it's not a bad planet to come back to, given it's ascending right now as well. Yeah, keen to hear your thoughts on children and what it means in future incarnations.
Well, once again, when these books are released, attributed to the teachings of Jesus Christ in the New Testament, and there are a ton of them, when they come out, it's going to be very clear on this, because it wasn't just Jesus Christ who's been completely exercised out of the picture. Is Mary Magdalene. And now Mary Magdalene plays a small role of being a whore, but she just happened to be the only one there when Jesus rose from the tomb. Amazing, you know, it's kind of amazing. But so the fact of the matter is that there was Lord and Lady Christ, and it's always been that way, because it always has to be that way. It's the masculine and the feminine. And these masculine homosexual monsters have exorcised Mother out of this, because she's the truth. And she shows us the way. She, with magnetism, gets us to rise in ourselves. This is how we rise out of the shitter, which is the root Muladhara chakra, and how we get to the higher chakras. Once you get to one, it's easier to get to the next one. And once you get to the solar plexus chakra, it's easier to get to the heart chakra. Once you get to the throat chakra, then it becomes difficult again, because this is where you have to be all in. This is where this 100% commitment every single day of your life. This is not, I'm going to be good for 3 days and it's all going to work for me. Nope. Only what the blood-brain barrier tells you everything about you. Only the purest and the best
gets through the blood-brain barrier. And that's how you have to be. That's how we have to be able to rise into heaven upon earth, which is within your head, which is, the endocrine system governed by the third ventricle of the brain. I find it a miracle, amazing that we are completely controlled, whether it be physically or metaphysically, by the third ventricle of the brain. Pineal, pituitary, and the optic thalamus, the light of the world. It's the miracle, and nobody knows this. And if you talk about this with literal Christian people, they think you're the devil, and it's incredible because it's the one story. It's what the night sky teaches. It's everything. So when these books come out, they will show this story about children. And what Jesus is going to tell you is that you are not here to rush out and procreate. Children are our richest treasure if it's done righteously and instead of the wrong way. And of course, people will go, but Charlie, that's crazy. There's only one way. And no, there isn't. No, there isn't. You've only been taught one way, and it's the wrong way. Again, like I said 4 years ago, how many of you thought that you actually had a choice between living and dying? Everybody's just resigned to the fact that you're going to die. That's what man is. You're going to die. But that's not what the Bible teaches. That's not what the Old Testament or the New Testament teaches. So in these books in the New Testament, you will hear Jesus and Mary Magdalene teach you that you're here to master yourself. You must know thyself. How can you possibly have children and raise children in any meaningful way if you haven't first come to know you? If you haven't mastered you, how are you going to raise a kid? And then when you outward ejaculate to be able to have your child, it's taking heaven by force. You may not see this, but it is. It's taking heaven by force, because what you're supposed to do, remember, when in the book of Matthew, chapter 6, which is the month of June, by the way, it's the longest month of the year, most light in the month of June, Matthew chapter 6. And what does it tell you? When you pray to God, you enter into thy closet and shut thy door, and then you don't say anything. Not a single thing, for your Father already knows what ye have need of. So if you truly want to have children, why would God deny you? You just have no faith. You have no faith because you become satanic. And I'm not judging you or anyone for having those beliefs, because that's all you know. They haven't given you another side of the story. And when the few come along to tell you the other side of the story, kooks, nuts, crazy, their YouTube channels get taken down and they're all gone, and you can just keep watching Oprah. She'll show you the way. She'll show you the way to death. Satan, and eventually leads you always to eating children, because you're either Cain or Abel. And if you're Cain, you'll end up eating children. Sooner or later, you'll end up participating in eating children. So what are children? Children are not the be-all and end-all until you are the be-all and end-all. So you have got a journey to go on. So that's why I say, and I'm not joking, that you shouldn't be dating until 333 years of age. You have a long way to go on this journey. You're gifted a minimum of 1,000 years. And if you continue to pass over every spring, if death passes you over, you just keep living. Why would you not live? Your body is alkaline and healthy. Your cells reproduce entirely in 11 months. If you're slothful, it's a mercy from God that it's 7 years, and everyone has their cells replaced every 7 years. And that's a mercy from God, because for a lot of people, they should probably never have their cells regenerate. They're so slothful, but that's a mercy from God. So if you're alkaline, your cells are regenerating every 11 months. How is this hard to live forever if all your cells have to do is continually regenerate every 11 months? How hard is this? You're not thinking. You're not thinking because you're taught not to think. It's common sense and it's simple. So having kids, amazing, fantastic, but not until you know you. Know thyself. Because when you know yourself, you will know God. And when you know God, when you've created that connection,
If you and your partner divine a child, you think that he will deny you? You think that the creator of all, who loves you, JC, more than anything else in the entire world, loves you first in a tie with everybody else, that he would deny you and this beautiful partner that's going to come into you? And she will, absolutely. Colleen, I can guarantee you that she will find you. Absolutely.
She's
because
on her way.
She's on her way. She absolutely is. And then if that's what you want, God knows what ye have need of, and he will fulfill every single dream. So if you want to do that at 18 and rush out, that's your choice. But no, that's a form of hell on earth. And then, like JC was saying really quickly, but he was just saying earlier that, and then you bypass a lot of dreams in your life because you had kids early. And eventually over time, you actually grow to resent. You resent anything that blocked you from having a better life, because your life is just shit. And so you look to start blaming. So it's your wife's fault, and it's your kids' fault, and those bloody kids. And tell me how any of this is righteous. Tell me how most parents in the world today are truly, and I mean truly, loving parents of their children. I mean, things have gotten so bad, have gone so far in the wrong direction. God help us, and he did. God help us, and he did. So it will come. When the time is right, it will come. And the only reason that you don't hear about Immaculate Conception is simply because who in their right mind would say this in this sick world? And if you told your family, they would probably tear you down alone, let alone the media. So...
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Makes total sense. You just got to know thyself before, going down that path. You got to do the work, and you've got to be in a place where you can pass that gnosis on to the children. It's as simple as that. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Is there time for one more, Justin?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. The second question, it's got a few layers. Again, I've heard you speak on this topic before. It's kind of on the topic of, metaphysical beings, aliens, sort of space travel, and it's kind of, that the story that's always been told is, kind of like the Battle of Atlantis and the Anunnaki sort of come into this planet and taking over, and then you've kind of got like the Dracos, the reptilians, the Greys, the gargoyles. In Australia, you've kind of got these beings that were like apparently called Yetis, and there were wars between the Yetis and the Aboriginal people, and then you've got the whole like shamanic sort of space. And I've personally seen like exorcism like things happen in front of my eyes, where I've seen something come out of a being. Not sure what it is, but it's some type of energy, spirit, entity. I've seen it come out of multiple people through some of my experiences. So yeah, there's just lots of different stories. There's so multi-dimensional. It's like, what is here on this planet in a physical and a metaphysical form, and any of those stories, from hundreds of thousands of years ago, true? Can entities jump bodies in this planet? One interesting thing is, movies like, I've heard stories of movies like Monster Inc. Like, wow, what a name, Monster Inc., right? They would create specific scenes to put the kids in such fear that an entity would actually jump the child's body whilst watching the movie Monsters Inc. And then the child would be now carrying around some type of, whether it's a thought form or something that's jumped the child, that's now going to impact the child as they go through childhood. And then you've got drug abuse and entities coming in through, drug abuse and things like that. So yeah, pretty multi-dimensional, lots of sort of layers. After hearing you speak on the topic, I just don't have like full gnosis or clarity on sort of all those different pieces.
Yeah.
So,
sorry. Well, if I could just jump in real quickly, just to give my take. we are the projectors of consciousness, right? So we project consciousness out, but all there is God and God's consciousness. We are just inhabiting this body, this vessel, to act as a conduit to project this consciousness out there. And so when people have experiences with entities and spirits and things like that, they're real. Like they're absolutely real, and they can consume and they can possess people, and we can see things. But as soon as people start to portray that as a separate entity that has power over us or can take over us, or and we assume no responsibility for that whatsoever, that's the lie. That's when it starts to get into this lie victim mentality where we have to have a savior, or there's something bigger than us that can get us. No, we have to take responsibility that all of that is created. All of this that's around us is created as well. And we are just one level of consciousness that we're all connected to and all a part of. So when people connect to these beings, it's not that it's not that those experiences are wrong. It's just they're tapping into a higher version of themselves, or a different version of themselves, a fearful version of themselves, an egoic perspective of themselves. And the more that people tap into those same bands of frequency, it kind of solidifies those stories and makes them more real. And so these, histories and whatever else that people have strung together, they become a lot more solid in a sense. But if you don't come back to this idea that we are the co-creators of this realm, we are projecting outward, everything comes from within. As soon as I start to say that it's coming from the out there, then that's the lie. It has to start from within. So that's kind of just a quick take on that, but I'll pass it away to Charlie.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. And I guess the other big word that's just thrown around so a lot, is the Palladians. Like, who are the Palladians? It's just another one that's so loosely thrown around in the spiritual community.
Yeah. So we face a stunning conundrum. So either everything that the Bible teaches and everything that we've shared with everyone is horseshit and they're right, or everything that the Bible teaches and what we've shared with you is right and they're full of horseshit. You choose. So people go, so we have all these stories that are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years old. No, we don't. Amazingly, we only discovered these 100,000-year-old stories in 1947 and beyond. So before that, there was just a couple of Hollywood movies that were just pathetic. What's the first movie that Hollywood ever did? To the Moon. And it was pathetic. It was absolutely pathetic, but they had to put that out there because the great lie is that everything is happening around you, to you, out there, instead of you are in charge of everything as a co-creator with God within you.
And because everything is frequency, they just have to put that thought inside. And when you start thinking upon it, you create that, right? You create that. So you can probably see darkness leave you. You can probably see light as well. So when you're in tune to it anyway.
So why is it that not a single ancient culture ever dug up a dinosaur bone? Why was it that the first dinosaur bones started to appear only after the Rockefellers, who are the lackeys for the Rothschilds, who are this is the Khazarian mafia, and they're just the muscle. They're just the lackeys for something deeper that you don't know, because these people aren't looking for fame. They just want control, and they hide behind the diseased, disgusting vermin that are the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, the Khazarian mafia. So why is it that only after the Rockefellers took a vice grip upon the United States did suddenly, in the United States, we found the first dinosaur bones? Because ancient people are idiots, and they can't dig, right? And they weren't mucking around in the ground or anything like that. Yeah, no. Everything they did was in the ground. Everything they were doing was in the ground. Nobody found a dinosaur bone. There's not a single record in any culture, ancient culture, of unearthing a dinosaur bone. But everybody believes it because they watched Jurassic Park 3 times.
So it must be true. It's all a lie. Like I said, we were talking the other night about spacecraft and aliens. What do we learn about Adolf Hitler and Germany during World War II? They were working with Tesla technology, and they were working with magnetic levitation. And that after the war, we found out that they had saucer-shaped crafts that were able to levitate. No. Adolf Hitler was raping alien women in a pyramid in Egypt, and then he drew them to the earth, and then he got that technology, and then used that technology to murder all those Jews and stuff. When, versus then that being the truth, there's the absolute truth about the Havara Act, or the transfer agreement, which Hitler from 32 to 32 until 41 transferred over $6 billion worth of possessions and wealth of the German Jews to be able to relocate to Palestine. And if you're planning to take over the world, $6 billion in those days would have gone a long way to helping you win that war. And if you're planning on killing all of the Jews in the first place, why would you kind of just let them leave with all that money when you could take their money and kill them at that time? But nobody thinks, and there's, overwhelming guaranteed proof of the Havara Act. Everybody knew about it. There's tons of books about the Havara Act, the transfer agreement, but nobody wants to believe it. You've been fucking lied to. From the end of World War II, it has been all out advanced war, hyperspeed, 1,000 miles an hour. It has been nothing but war on your psyche to destroy you and turn you into a mental midget. They're lying to you about everything. Why would God create aliens who we have no protection. If they're able to just jump dimensions and jump into our forms, then what the fuck? Why are we here in the first place? What an asshole God is, right? And the same thing with space being out there, that only rich people or a conglomerate of rich people and rich governments can ever go there. Why would he create it that way when he's the creator and he knows all in every moment? He knows that there are Canaanites and he knows that they're the children of Abel. Why would he create it that way? You're faced with a conundrum. You have simple truth, and nobody wants to accept simple truth anymore because that can't be true. If it's complicated, it must be true. Why? Because for 110 years, that's all you've been taught. That for it to be true, it has to be a theory. It has to be complicated. And only a few people truly know these formulas. Only a few people really, really know this mathematics. It fills up a 20-foot by 30-foot chalkboard. So leave it to us. These scientists, they work for the common good. They don't work for us. We don't pay their checks. Oh, we do. Sorry about that. We're just lying again. So modern science, what has it done? Well, it's great because, they can transplant a heart. Really? You're a frugivore. Start fucking acting like a frugivore and you don't need to replace your fucking heart. And if you were a frugivore, you wouldn't have to have a dentist. God didn't make dentists. He didn't make doctors. He didn't make any of these fucking unnecessary things. He created you perfectly. But now, for 110 years, but it's okay, because all the history books say that we've always done it this way. People have always murdered animals and eaten meat. And people have always, aliens and Anunnaki. And Anu means sun, the annual path of the sun of the sky, which is the father. And Enki is Enki, which is Ea, which is Hoanna, which is Joanna, which is, wow. But nobody wants to do the research. And then all the stuff we know about Adolf Hitler in the truth community. Everybody, Hitler's a Rothschild. Oh, really? Oh, really? What did he do? What did Hitler do in 1938 when he unified Germany with Austria in the Anschluss? He arrested Baron Louis Philippe Rothschild and seized all of his assets, took down all of his banks, shut down the Central Reserve banking system. Nobody reports that, so it can't be true. But that's what he did. Took Hitler, or he put Rothschild in prison, and then it took the Rothschilds an enormous amount of money to ransom him back from Hitler. But Hitler's a Rothschild and he's a bad guy. Really?
what would happen in the world today if somebody stepped up and personally arrested or kidnapped Baron Louis Philippe Rothschild or one of the fucking Rothschilds? What would you do? That's number one person in the world, right? That's documented fact. That's documented fact. But he's the worst person in history. Or what did General Patton say? We fought the wrong people. Since this war has been over, I've spent all this time with the German people. They're the most godlike, goodly people, and they're good at what they do. And we fought the wrong enemy. We should have been fighting Russia with the help of the Germans. We were on the wrong side of this war. 2 days later, Patton was almost killed by a runaway ox cart, and a week later he was killed. Except he wasn't killed. They John Galted him.
Well,
So,
and what did JFK say about Hitler as well? That he'll go down in history as the most misunderstood man.
He said a lot more than that. He said a lot more than that.
Everything is upside down. So the most vile person in the world, turn it upside down.
God would never create aliens that way. If there are other worlds, then they are pods outside of our pod in this infinite plane that the Bible talks about. The Bible, if you read it for yourself, the Bible teaches level earth, it teaches the firmament, and it talks about the infinite plane. That's all. It never mentions anything else. Oh, but they didn't know back then because they were just idiots. Really? Really? The people that built the pyramids were idiots. And you that is eating a processed taco from 7-Eleven warmed up in a microwave and a Coke to wash it down, and you know something, but the people that build the pyramids didn't? Because I'll bet you they didn't build a 7-Eleven. I'll bet you they didn't use microwave technology. We're just, it's sorry to be so blunt with everything, but we're at that point where it just has to be said. It is dumbed down 101, and the average person that sees themselves as a truther is virtually completely lost, and they're angry. That's the thing about Mark Devlin's audience. We love Mark, great guy and stuff. Love Mark a lot, but his audience is an angry audience, and that's ungodlike. And Jesus had righteous anger, but that righteous anger spilled over, and then he balanced himself by going into the Mount of Olives. And we're taught that meditation will lead you to the devil. So it's all upside down. It's all backwards, JC. And moving forward, you're doing it right. You get that 33 by 33 plot on a 9 mile road to the top of
on 133 acre property. Yeah.
It's just doing it right, and you're going to see the rewards in what you're doing. It's so simple. It's so simple. They've taught you to think that it's complicated and difficult. It isn't. It's so simple.
Yeah, amazing. I just can't wait for the movie to come out, to tell the truth. Who's going to make it?
Oh, I would imagine John F. Kennedy Jr. will have
Yeah. It's going to be a good one.
White hats have had a lot of time to be producing some really amazing behind. I am so excited for the behind the scenes of this whole thing playing out.
Just look at IMDb and these righteous directors that we pointed you towards who were doing white hat movies, and look at all the work that they've got going in Hollywood. There's a shitload of movies that are coming, and they're going to tell you the truth for the first time. So they know we're a movie culture, a movie generation, and they created this as a movie because there was no other way.
Yeah, amazing. And if anyone out there is still like denying what you say, like, I've come across some profound stuff, because obviously you're getting a lot of stuff out of the Bible, and I've started to work with someone that's, of quite old age. They've been around for a very long time. They're just totally disconnected from technology and the internet and that stuff. And this person speaks of the Bible as a manual, and in particular a numerology manual. And he has taken out all the numerology out of this Bible, and he he's created technology that would, you know, melt your jaw to the ground. And I've held stuff like this in my hands, and it's all in there. The codes and the numerology and what can be implemented if one knows how to decode that numerology is just profound. And I've lived and experienced it. I've touched it. I've felt it. It's true. It's real.
And Tesla created a lot more than
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's all there.
And we're gonna see it.
We are.
It's ours. The left brain can't create anything. All they do is steal, twist, pervert, turn upside down. They're not the creators of anything. We are. We are that blood of Abel through Seth. We are the righteous ones, and that's why they hate us so much. And it's incredible because they wanted us to become like them, and so many have. And now we have to roll up our sleeves, do the work, and we have to change ourselves from the inside out.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. It's been an absolute honor.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work. Yeah, I love you guys so much. Thank you.
Oh, we love you too, JC. You're doing things the right way. So, yeah, just keep doing it.
Yeah, I love you,
Big
brother.
love.
Thanks for being on.
Divine to be
Thanks,
on this show.
JC.
You were so divine to be on this show. That's God intervening. So that's amazing.
So thank you, Justin and JC. Awesome.
Okay.
Take care, man.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. I'm in Byron Bay, by the way, if you're wondering. Byron Bay, Australia. Yeah, it's first light, so the light hits here first before any place in Australia. So it's a very profound work to be doing this work and building community here right now.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's so amazing. Justin, while you're bringing in the next guest, there's a few questions from Canadians tonight about Justin Trudeau. What are you worrying about that piece of shit? He's dead. He's been dead for a long time. Trudeau's not in charge of the Canadian government. It's a movie. Don't worry about it. It's just a guy in a mask. Michael Jackson did movies showing you how profoundly we can look like anybody else through masks. Absolutely. It's a small group.
Well, yeah, and he's playing his role to piss people off. So the fact that Canadians have been so lulled to sleep and so complacent means that they need someone like a Justin Trudeau to really get in your face to get it going. So he's doing exactly what he needs to.
And before that, Justin Trudeau, evil.
Raised in evil.
Yep.
It's challenging because you know that these people were raised from birth like this. So but they're just no saving them at some point. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
We can.
Okay. All right. I'm a little nervous. I didn't think I was going to be so nervous on here. And I'll just tell a quick introduction about myself. I've been kind of following you now for probably right after the big blow up of COVID in 2020. Watched a lot of your long broadcasts. And it was pretty amazing to me. It's probably good that you did it that way, because then you just got it all out there. And even though things disappeared, and I was so upset about that at first, but you know, I've come to understand you're just not going to have truth out there for very long, it seems. So you weren't the only ones that disappeared off the planet of YouTube. But I've been able to find you. Thank God Justin started the Wandering Toward Truth channel. Thank you, Justin. So I was raised in a very, very religious background. My parents, prior to mine being born, were actually pastors, and then by the time I came along, my mom had 9 kids, so quite a few there. I was next to the youngest of my mom and dad's kids. So anyway, she was actually the pastor. My dad was a person within their realm that would lay hands on people and pray for them for healing, and people would be healed. I totally believe that happens. I've witnessed it myself. And then going forward, they were kind of accused wrongly by the church that they were teaching at, and they left the church, and then they both went off and just really started drinking and doing the total opposite. So by the time I came along, they were out of the church, and eventually they divorced. And my oldest sister is the one that actually started taking us back to church, which was still a very legalistic back in the day, where they really didn't want women wearing pants and all that stuff. So I went through all that upbringing for many years, and it was kind of, we were kind of the poor family of the church, basically. So anyway, fast forward to, I have 2 kids now. I've been married more than once, and but God has been doing something for many, many years in my heart. All along, I just really felt a closeness that God was speaking to me throughout all this time, and I'm thankful for that. And it's kind of like I feel like I've been bumbling along here, finding my way, and totally don't believe a lot of the doctrine that I was raised believing, the rapture theory and all that stuff. And I no longer believe that. But I will just say that no matter what, God still turns it around, and he just leads us, in this path, and eventually the truth will set you free. That is what I believe. And he has continued to show me that, and to do great miracles in my life. And so as I've been going along, I've just ran into different people along the way that, especially once things started getting online, where I could go and find other teachings and stuff. And I would just kind of take little gold nuggets here and there, and just apply them, but not feel quite like it was totally correct, if that makes sense. So I finally got to the point where somewhere along the line, my faith just exploded, that I took the limits off God. I am so thankful that happened, because not that I never have times of fearing necessarily, but it's so much less now, where if it starts to hit me now, I just just say, God, I don't know how you're going to work this out, but I know that you can. And so learning that really has been the biggest growth of all. The biggest light bulb moment is getting rid of that fear, and knowing that sometimes you just have to decide you're going to push past that, and just keep moving, and say, I don't know how you're going to do it, but I know you can. So I just have kept moving on with that belief. And then 2020, I came to the point where I kind of had I've always had kind of lung issues and stuff. And I just kept kind of getting sick, and I took some time off. And then like by Friday of the week I took off of 2020, which was in March, that whole thing blew up, and I just stayed on medical leave the whole entire time. And then in August, when everything ran out of my payments and stuff, I've been with the company I was with for 24 years. I just decided I'm retiring. I'm not going back to that. I'm not going to go back. They want you to wear a mask. And that one thing just started upsetting me so much that I had to not put myself there anymore. And I would just go in, and unless they absolutely asked me, and even then, sometimes I would just leave. But most of the time, this whole time, I've only probably worn a mask like 5 times. And then as soon as I pass the person that wants you to wear it, I just take it down. But, you know, and that's kind of gone away now. But so this whole time I have also, you know, I ran into you all and have been able to find just another thing to add to my, it's like, wow, you're not a crazy person. And but I think my question for you is this, you know, I see a lot of people come on here and they're very concerned about their kids and their friends and their close people through all this stuff, and how people don't want to listen to some of this stuff. They don't believe it. If that was true, then the media would tell you. And I'm like, no, the media is not going to tell you the truth. And I've been saying that for many, many years. And, you know, Charlie, you spoke about O.J. Simpson, and it just kind of freaked me out, because I was going to talk a little bit about that particular thing in 1995. When that happened, I was working at a children's home, and it was a faith-based children's home. And that story came out when I was there. And I knew something inside of me, just like it was a waking moment. I'm like, there's something really wrong here with this whole thing. And during that time, the children's home I was working at had Dan Rather wanted to come and do a story of the children's home. And I'm from Arizona. So all this audit stuff is also going on here. And I wanted to wait to get your take on it instead of, I didn't turn on any news, so I knew nothing about what was going on. And I've chosen to be that way too. But anyway, going back to that, Dan Rather came and his crew, and they came to the children's home I was working at. And I actually have a picture of him and I together. And, you know, I used to think, you know, well, he's probably a pretty cool guy and tells the truth, but I don't believe any of it. After they got done with the story, it was a faith-based place. And this, the woman that had started that children's home was 84 years old at that time. And once they did all their little filming and all that stuff, they would come and do, we were out in the pool, and they came and did some filming there. And around the whole place, there was actually 60 kids at that place. And once they were done, they basically took out a majority of those people. Were very godly people and were run totally on donation, wasn't connected to the state or anything else. So there was all of our local news in this area in Arizona was also doing stories on them. And you just wouldn't believe how incorrect they got all the stories. And so after that, I'm not a media fan. I actually think they don't even know what they're doing. And so I just thought it was interesting that you brought that out about O.J. Simpson, and I was just thinking about that. That is really one of the first times when I really realized there's something wrong with the media and what's going on here. And it turns out, yes, it is. And many, many other stories after that, you know, but it was just something that kind of woke me up. So back to my question, what I want to ask you about is, you know, we have our loved ones and people that really don't want to hear this. And it's really hard for me to discuss things. You know, I've had really long conversations with some of my sisters, and I am a person that doesn't shove anything down anybody's throat. I don't think that does anybody, or argue about it. I just state what I know for my own experience, I guess, and what has happened to me through all these years and trials and the way God has worked. That's how I share, is through, like you say, through kindness. And it's not going to do any good to sit and yell at somebody. You don't know what you're talking about and all that. I don't do it that way. I just share my experience. So what I want to ask you is, how is it that you can, and I'm a prayer person, so I believe that, is it that do you believe that prayer works in praying for people, or is it more they're just kind of on their own? I've always been of the belief that you can pray for people, but I just want to know your take on that part.
Well, once again, like I've been saying to all the questions tonight, I'll say it again. All the answers are in the Bible, but you have to read it for yourself. So once again, the book of Matthew, a great exercise for you, Jacqueline, tomorrow is to go through the book of Matthew again, and Luke, just absolute genius, and read them like you're reading them for the first time again, and listen to what's being said, because Jesus was the greatest teacher that ever lived. That aspect of Jesus is highly underappreciated. He was the greatest teacher of all time, and he conveyed things in a very, very simple way. So in that documentary that I did, which was the takedown of organized religion from A to Z, I went A to Z, 26 biblical passages in the New Testament credited to Jesus Christ, and it tells you the way. It tells you where the kingdom of heaven is. It tells you how to get there. It tells you the work that you have to do to get there. It's so simple. Jesus was the greatest teacher of all time. And this is the thing that's so sad, is that most people are so disconnected from his simple, direct, and beautiful teachings, and yet it's there all in plain sight. The first thing is that if you're reading one of these New Age Bibles or these Americanized Bibles, all these various versions, you have to throw them out, because they have exercised like demons. They have exercised the true words of Jesus out of the New Testament, and they truly have. You have to go and find yourself King James Bible. This is for an English version, a King James Bible, the 1611 edition. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 6 is 9, which is divine. The 1611 edition was created as accurately as they were prepared. There's so much stuff that's been taken out of the Bible, but it's coming.
I do believe that.
Yeah.
I do believe that. And I have studied, I have listened to the Bible, and I would only do the King James, but I haven't had one that was that old. I just had what I had. But that is something that I need to seek out then, to continue to get accurate information that has been taken out. I do believe that. You can see that when you see the the NIV versions and all the new this is fine, it's just another translation. I don't believe that. I think that they have totally taken out and rearranged words and sentences. And if I've heard people say, well, if you look back at they haven't really changed it that much. Yes, they have. And so that is something I'll have to seek out and find and reread that, because I have listened to scripture many times. So
yeah, and Jacqueline, they're everywhere. You can go online and order one, used copy and stuff. There's lots of hardbacks, copies that are available as well. It's meant to be sort of the central book of your home. It's where you're supposed to keep all of your sacred documents, all of the records of your family. You keep them all because they'll be protected over in it, because it's the closest thing that we have to the truth in the English language. So it does possess a magic to it, because it largely tells the truth of what Jesus Christ was saying. So the answers to your questions are all in the Bible. And the first thing, again, book of Matthew, chapter 6, read all of it. Incredible. But, starting in 6:6, it's when thou'st pray, enter into thy closet and shut thy door. And then Jesus continues and he says, and when you've shut the door and you're in silence in the closet, do not utter vain repetitions as the heathens do, for surely they have their rewards. For your Father already knows what ye have need of. You see, again, it's the most incredible thing that most people who consider themselves good people because they're Christians are the furthest thing, and incredibly are the furthest thing from the truth about Jesus Christ. And that is the ultimate problem, because Jesus was the light, the way, the truth. Everything that Jesus said. That's why when you read the Bible for yourself, you don't get this really soft, pushover, super nice, new agey Jesus that they like to tell you that it's all good. We all have our truth. Jesus just loved everyone. No, not at all. Read it for yourself. Jesus got in face.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just have to ask and say this too. You know, what I have found, I know many Christian people. My sisters are Christians, but yet there's so many Christians walking around in total and complete fear, although we've been taught from, this big that God is the provider, God is the healer, he's the great physician. I don't understand it. I am in such shock at the church. At the so-called church that believes that.
Jacqueline, how many American pastors over the last 18 months have come out and said that Jesus would absolutely put a mask on, and if you're not wearing a mask, then you are denouncing Jesus Christ? That is the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life.
I know. I have to stop listening to some of them because they get on there and say that, and I'm like, no, that's not what he would do. What he did do is he would heal them. That's what he would do. He would heal them.
Yeah, what Jesus taught was sovereignty. That's what Moses taught in the Bible. When Moses was wandering in the desert for 40 years, how did he finally get out of the desert? He cast his spine, the S-pine, upon the ground, and it turned into a serpent. That is the Kundalini rising. That is the magnetic mother energy within all of us. And it's the only force on earth that rises. God is in heaven. How are you going to get to heaven? Electricity is a downward causation. We are born electrical beings. God made it this way on purpose. It means that the only way that we can rise back up into heaven upon earth is through the mother. Why do you think she's gone out of the Bible? Why do you think Mary Magdalene was turned into a whore? It's because it's all about Mother Mary, Mare, magnetism. Colleen, go.
And the whole fact of the matter is that these pastors and the people that are running the churches, they're all fallen men and women, I suppose. But
yes.
The whole point is that they've been raised in a Luciferian system their entire lives, and all of the propaganda that they've been given, and they're teaching the upside down truth because that's exactly what they were supposed to do. And so there is a huge discrepancy between what we know in our heart that God should be versus what they're teaching us. And so in our minds, I mean, excuse my language, but it's mind fuckery. That's what they've done to us. And so we don't know up from down anymore, and we are completely confused about what God really is and what God really wants, and it drives everyone absolutely crazy. And you think that this is the way you should be raised, and then suddenly like your parents, they turn from it and then they go the other direction. Of course they did, because everything that they were being taught was not built on the foundation of true God, right? None of us were taught the true foundation of what God really was.
We're taught to build our foundations on the desert, on the sand, and not the solid
Satan's
rock.
teachings, because when we discover what we were really learning was not God's truth at all.
Book of Matthew, chapter 6 again. You build your home on the highest mount, the most solid rock. When the pineal gland is activated, when the pineal gland is illuminated, what happens? It turns from a vast desert wasteland into literally a crystalline structure in the shape of a diamond, which, by the way, any diamond is father above and mother below. And as soon as you take away the mother below, all you have is a penis. And that's the whole problem to this world. Jesus never once taught penis. Jesus always taught the womb, because that's the father in the mother, father, mother together.
So
we asked for this duality, we got it. Now we better start living it.
They completely took away the feminine. They had to, because there is so much beauty and balance in creation when you have a unified masculine feminine. They took away the feminine. And so all of these teachers that we had in our churches were completely devoid of that as well. And they couldn't be teaching the truth. They were lost. The blind leading the blind.
Yep.
And all of these allegories that were in the Bible, somehow they just messed them up. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. I wasn't raised with religion, and I went and became a Catholic for my first marriage. And I was amazed when I would go to church and I would see these people, and this is just from an observer's standpoint, and never really having, God or Jesus in my life. And watching these people every Sunday, and I just thought, this is weird. What are these people doing? None of them are living what they're being taught. And are they not hearing what the minister is saying? Does the minister or the priest even know what he's saying? And I really didn't think he did. And I could just look around me and see these people were not living any of what was being taught. I'm like, why are they here? And then you hear these scriptures later on, which took me years. And then we started going through, listening to the truth of what the Bible is. And then hearing God actually say those things like, I don't know you. You don't know me. Why are you saying, like that? That's just, it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, they portray that they have it all, that they have arrived. That's what I like to call it. They think that they have all arrived, and they're just so far from it. I was talking to my sister yesterday, and she was saying, oh, but one of the big TV pastors was saying, well, now he's saying, he's really pushing the vax. I said, of course he is. I said, because he's part of that 501c3 organization that ties him to the government. A lot of people don't realize that their church is tied to the government, and they're going to lose money if they don't start saying that. And I have to stop fighting with people because it's just not a waste of time. Yeah. But I put on one of their posts that they put, or their YouTube thing, when they were talking about the vaccination, and I said, well, I guess your God is really not the God above. It's all about money. So I just really think that that's the truth. They're really in it for the money. They know that the government is telling them what to do, and many of them. So.
And you can't serve two masters. So if you are not serving one, you're inevitably serving the other. And it's the same exact thing as these doctors coming from these institutions. It's this arrogance of having put in a lot of money and time into thinking, they go in for it. Most of them go in with the right intentions at the beginning, but these universities, these institutions are steered to take those minds and train them into this way to push the same agenda. So the doctors are pushing the health agenda, and then the priests are pushing that agenda, and it comes from that same space.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
I guess it's all kind of the same thing. They're just in a different field, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the organized society is just always has these traps out there. As soon as we start to steer into some form of truth, there's another trap, and they don't have enough numbers to run it themselves. So they have to train us to be the gatekeepers of the truth. And that's where that's where organized religion comes from. It is the gatekeeper to keep us away from God.
And as Justin said, it doesn't stop there. It began there, but it's everywhere. So when you want to know what the president just told you, don't listen to what the president just told you. You have to wait until after what the president told you, and then you're listening to a Democratic or Republican-based response to it, and then they're just going to give you the lie, and from one perspective or another, divide and conquer, and it's just bullshit. Don't listen for yourself. Don't think for yourself. You're not smart. you're an idiot. First there were dinosaurs, then there's you, then there's going to be flying squirrels after you, and it just goes on. You're worthless, you're an accident, you're all of these things, instead of you are the apple of God's eye. You are the creme de la creme. You are the pinnacle of God's creation. We are the shepherds of this earth, and we're acting like fucking idiots. And excuse the language, but it is so true. And the teachings of Jesus Christ in the Bible make it so clear. So once again, in the book of Matthew, what does Jesus teach the apostles? When you go, and I'm sending you forth to go into all these towns, you're not going to go to the towns where people already know us and love us and they're on side with what. You're going to go to the towns where people are lost in the insanity, and you're going to teach the message. And if they respond violently against you, you turn on a dime, you get out of Dodge, and you go to the next town. It is not your job to get into an argument with anybody. That is not what you're here for. The only reason why you are here is to become the light of the world, to become the lighthouse. You're here to do the work, but nobody wants to do the work. They just want to try and save everybody else. But if you haven't done the work, if you haven't risen yourself with light, the light of God within you through the mother, then how are you going to help anybody else? Nobody seems to figure this equation out. They always come up with the wrong answer. So it's not your job. Your job in the Bible, once again, in the New Testament, Jesus Christ teaches you, your job is to raise the light of God within you. And when you walk down the road, what did Jesus say? Then they will be drawn to that light. They will see that the Father that is in heaven above is alive and well in you. And then they will become intrigued, that they will ask the question. They will approach you. Remember, how many times did Jesus go out of his way on his journey to teach anybody? I'm waiting. Never, never. He was on a journey. He met people along the way. Those that had the right frequency found Jesus, because that's what it's all about. It's frequencies. So you were talking about your mother and your father and how they're healing people. I know that's true, but you have to believe it. You have to believe it. They have to believe that they have the power to heal, and people have to believe that they have the power to heal, and you can do anything. You will do greater things than I. You can do anything because you're the creme de la creme, but you have to know this. You have to believe this. So again, what is that? If that's true, like you said, you saw it and you believe it, then what does that mean for disease? What does that mean for the pharmaceutical industry? And why don't they cure anything? Why are they always just treating the symptoms? Why do these symptoms give you further problems that require more pills until that's all you are, is a pill popper? But that's what Jesus would do. If Jesus, got a sore thumb, he'd go to an organized hospital, he'd get an injection, he'd wear a mask. And I mean, how stupid do you have to be? At some point, you have to read the Bible for yourself, and then you will see it, and it hits you in the face like a brick. Jesus said, why do you look in that direction? Organized society, organized religion, a church. Jesus, did you know they just built a beautiful new church for the Father in this community? And Jesus said, why, Peter, why do you cast your eyes in that direction? For surely not a single stone will be left standing when all is said and done. The kingdom of thy Father is within you, not out there. Every question that you asked tonight, should we pray, and does pray help? Matthew 6:6, very famous again, from 6:6 to 12, and then it goes into the Lord's Prayer, and then, oh my God, the rest of it is just the truth of this world. All of chapter 6 tells you everything you need to know. And like the courage and the strength that you've been showing through the last number of years. What did Jesus say? So you doubt that God will provide for you, but what about the fowl of the air? Are you less than the fowl of the air? The fowl of the air does not collect seeds. The fowl of the air does not plant seeds. The fowl of the air does not tend to the crops. The fowl of the air does not reap the crops and collect the seeds and replant for the next year. And yet the fowl of the air always has abundant food to eat. Do you literally think that God loves you any less than the fowl of the air? Matthew, in plain sight. What are we doing? We're maniacs.
When I had decided to go ahead and do my retirement, I had so many of my friends, coming up and saying, oh, how are you? You're not going to have insurance. You're not going to have this. You're not. And I go, I'm not going to worry about that. I have, somehow this is all going to work out. And I totally and completely believe that. Now, mind you, I do have some 401k and things like that, but that isn't going to last forever. God's still going to take care of me. I don't know. I don't know always how, but I still know.
Yeah, you wait. All the money that the cabal is all ill-begotten because they stole it all from us.
Trillions.
We are the real children of Abel through Seth. We are the children of Abel. We are the doers. We are the ones who are able to connect to God. We are the righteous ones of this journey, of this path. All of it is ours. All of these inventions belong to all of us equally. And so one of the first things that you're going to see as all of this movie plays itself out and the horrors of horrors are revealed about how bad this was and what we allowed them to get away with, wait till you see how grand the underground world is. You have no idea. Don't for a second buy that, well, there's this deep underground military base here and another one there. It's an entire world virtually the same size as our world above, and it all exists beneath the ground. Everything operates out, I would imagine, Venice, but certainly through Geneva, and it runs in a crown, in a circle, and it runs in 360 angles. And it goes to everywhere in the world with maglev trains. It can take you anywhere in the world inside of an hour. And this is the kind of reality that exists, and nobody knows anything about it. If you tell them, you're a nut. So you have nothing to worry about. And remember, whose plan is this? Who's going to do this for us? Who intervened? Because for as incredible as these white hats are, thank God that there are, and of course there are these goodly, righteous people. There always have been. We'll always out-dominate them. We're the 90%. They're the 10%. Of course there's way more of us. So of course they exist. But it's God's plan. They were successful because it's God's plan. Listen to the comments attributed to John F. Kennedy Jr. Listen to Donald Trump. Listen to anyone, General Flynn. Listen to anyone who's associated with this plan. What do they all do? They give all power, all glory to God. It's God's plan. Start trusting the Father. And when you say this stuff, for some people, it just sounds so stupid to say, well, I'm not worried because I trust in God. You're an idiot. No, you're righteous. And that is the righteous path and the righteous way. God is real. All you ever have had to do is align your frequency to the Father who loves you more than anything. And he wants you to come home more than anything. That's all that this is. Everything that they do is the lie that puts you in the left brain. So food puts you in the left brain. TV, movies puts you in the left brain. Schools, left brain. Famous books on the New York Times bestsellers list, famous people, entertainers, put you in the left brain. Everything, every way. And what did Bill Donahue say? Bill Donahue said, all we have to do to fix all of the problems in this world is to read the New Testament of the Bible for ourselves and live the teachings of Jesus Christ. You don't need anyone else to read it for you. You don't need anyone else to translate it for you. He makes it so plain and so clear. So at what point are all these literist Christians going to start reading the word of Jesus Christ for themselves and start living it instead of pretending to? And when they go to heaven, what's Jesus going to say? Depart from me, for I never knew you. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not the things I say? And when he talks about prayer, don't utter vain expressions like the heathens do, for surely they have their reward. God is in stillness and silence within you. He is not out there. He's not on some planet out there. If you pray out loud with a spoken voice, he can't hear you. He is in silence. How do Christians not get this? Genesis makes this so clear. The First Kings makes this so clear. Where is God? Is in the mercy seat. Where is the mercy seat? Right behind the third ventricle of your brain. What's the third ventricle of the brain? The innermost, centermost part of you. What exists there? The pineal gland up and to the right, pituitary gland down and to the left, and the optic thalamus in the middle. What is every culture in history, no matter where they are on this earth, what have they all referred to the optic thalamus as? The light of the world.
Jesus Christ is the light of the world.
So-
You must raise Jesus within you by doing his work, by becoming Christ-like. And
Right.
then what does he say? You will do greater things than I. What, you don't believe that? Jesus said it. Well, he lies sometimes. We all know that. He's just being kind to us because we're idiots. No, 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 no. Stop going to church. What did Jesus say about going to church? What are you doing? What are you doing? Who tortured and murdered Jesus Christ in plain sight and paid people to come out in public and denounce him when all of Jerusalem in that week fell in love with Jesus Christ? Everybody in Jerusalem came out and fell in love with Jesus Christ. But on that day, suddenly they're all against Jesus because the Catholic Church was out there handing out money. You know, they weren't the Catholic Church then, but it's the same people. It's the same people, same cut of cloth. And they're out there handing money out to everybody to denounce Jesus. And then the sheeple, they side with, you know, where the majority goes. And then suddenly they're all turning on Jesus, who taught them the truth, the light, and the way. All we have to do is read the Bible for yourself. Read it for yourself. And then
God
what's
knows
coming.
what you're thinking. He knows what you need, right? So when you align yourself to that vibration, that's when you can receive what it is you desire.
So that's right. So when inside of you you have such concern for others, when that is the focal point of your existence, when you care so much and you don't limit it to this person or this group or that group, just you have so much care for others, then God is aware of who you are, and his entire purpose is to give you what it is that you want because he gifted you free will. So if you align your thoughts to the highest of highs, then your rewards will be the highest of highs. That's all you ever had to do. So if you want to help people, if you want to pray for people, then just be kind inside of you. That's prayer. When you are kind, when you put other people ahead of yourself, that your joy and happiness comes through the gifting and the loving and the sharing and the teaching and the helping of others, then the reward comes through that. And can you imagine what the reward for that is? You know, I mean, it's endless and it's beautiful. So all you ever had to do was listen to the teachings of Jesus Christ, read them for yourself, and then there's going to be tons more books coming telling you the whole story and what Jesus had to say about animals, what Jesus had to say about plants. That's you know, and remember, you don't see Jesus eating food. You don't hear of Jesus eating food. You know, he gave the 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish for the multitudes, but of course, that's an allegory. Jesus never spoke, but in parables, it's an allegory. The 2 fish is Pisces, which is wisdom of the Father, and the 5 loaves of bread is manna from heaven, taking thought from God. What's the greatest teaching that Jesus taught and dominates the chapter 6 of the book of Matthew? 6:25 to 6:34, Jesus says it 5 times. Take no thought for your life. Take no thought for your life. Stop thinking out of your left brain. Stop thinking and receive the manna from heaven. When you stop thinking in your thinking brain, which is the left brain, which is your ego, then you have to be able to think. You have to be able to have impetus into your life, or you don't have a life. It comes from God. When you shut the door to the left hemisphere of your brain, you open the door to the right hemisphere of your brain, and that's where God is. That's where the Virgin Mother Mary is. That's where Jesus Christ is. That's where Santa Claus is. They're all within you, but they're only to the right. And that's why Jesus taught and said, you must cast thy net to the right. And when they did, they caught 153 fish. 1 + 5 + 3 is 9, because 9 is divine, because 9 is the vine that constantly seeks God in heaven, because it constantly rises. It's an allegory. We are supposed to become the vine. Why do we fall, Bruce? To get back up. To get back up and try again. Who does God love? A trier.
And look at the number 6, which is our journey, and it flips up and becomes the 9. It has risen. The 9 has risen. It's beautiful.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I didn't know if you had, I'm sure you probably answered this before, but I had seen so many of your programs, and I just didn't ever get the answer that I needed, I guess. So thank you.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome, Jacqueline. You're strong. It's easy to see, Jacqueline. Read that Bible for yourself. Please trust me and get the King James Bible 1611 edition. You can get it online for not very much money. You can get leather-bound copies, which I recommend, and then read it for yourself. And you watch as good as you've made things for yourself. You watch how things soar for you from here.
You didn't really mean leather bound.
Yeah, I don't
Exactly.
agree with leather bound.
All right. Thank you. You have a good weekend. Okay.
Thank you for coming on, sister. Love you.
Thanks for being strong.
Another perfect question.
That's great. Yes.
So does everybody see this? Does everybody see this? Everything is so easy and simple. It's all right in front of you. It has been all along. And they've blocked stuff, but what's in the Bible is miraculous. So what's coming just enhances the miracle. So read the Bible for yourself. As Bill Donahue said, all we need to do is living the teachings of Jesus Christ. Why won't you? Bible for yourself. Please trust.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Oh, sorry, it's coming. Oh, there I am. Hello. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you great. Thanks for your patience.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, it's so good to be on the show. I was listening through my phone, so I must be just like a couple seconds behind or something. So sorry for the delay. Thank you so much for letting me be here with you tonight. Justin actually invited me last week to be on the show, but I was driving home. I live in South Dakota, and so we were in Arizona for the week seeing some doctors for my son. And it's just so amazing to be on your show tonight. It's been so fantastic. And I was meant to be on this show because everything you've talked about, even from like how everybody's been feeling, the way that you guys started the show and said we're exhausted. Well, if you talk to my husband, he will tell you I have been an emotional wreck this week, just because something's going on, and I'm ready for this to end and move on to the light. And so I just appreciate you sharing that, and even with the Freak family online, sharing their experience that they've gone through. And then I'm so grateful for JC, who was on tonight, and Jacqueline, who was on tonight, and listening to their questions. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me. That's me. So anyways, this is the first time you've seen me and I've seen you. So about a year and a half ago, well, longer, God like literally woke me up in my sleep. My time with God is between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. Can you guys relate?
People say that, Katie.
Yeah. So my dad taught me to always keep a notebook next to my bed so that when I wake up in the morning or wake up in the middle of the night, I can just jot down my thoughts or whatever. I'm a teacher, or I was a teacher, and I would sometimes call myself because my classroom has a phone, and I'd leave messages in the middle of the night on my answer machine in my school classroom, and then I get to school and I've got 12 messages and they're all from me. So anyway, so about a year and a half, these ideas would come in my head, and I was raised Catholic, and I married into a very Catholic family, and I have 2 kids, and we raised them Catholic. And the last 10 years I've been teaching a Catholic school, But 2 years ago, I just had this idea that I wasn't supposed to teach, but I had already signed my contract. And then I won Teacher of the Year. And then I was like, well, how do you quit after that? And wouldn't you know, it was the worst year of 21 years of teaching. It was the worst year. And I think it was the worst year because I wasn't following God's plan. Anyway, so in the middle of the night, God would wake me up with, you shouldn't teach. You shouldn't go to church. You shouldn't go to confession. You shouldn't eat meat. And I act, other than not quitting my job, I acted immediately.
Wow.
And it was so easy to do. But like, even like when God said, I don't want you to go to I don't want you to participate in the Eucharist. I didn't know why.
Cannibalism.
When God said, there's something going on with Cain and Abel, like I've had so many dreams about Cain and Abel, but I couldn't figure it out. Like, what's the story about Cain and Abel? And I kept going to my priest and saying, what's going on with Cain and Abel? I don't get it. Or what's going on with Nebuchadnezzar, what the statue, what's going on with that? Or did you know that you shouldn't call anybody a father, and yet you're a priest and we call you father? Do you see all these like little ideas? But I had no proof. I had no proof of it other than my little note. Well, it's not little anymore. Now it's a big notebook. I couldn't prove these things. And I would talk to my administrator. I talked to my coworkers. I had to talk to my priest every Friday. And they all thought I was crazy. You've never heard that, I'm sure. But I had no proof. And my sister-in-law, God bless her, she shared a video with me called The Takedown of the Cabal. You probably never heard of it. But she shared with me. It must have been in January of this year. And so I watched this video and I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. I know all this stuff, except that there were like little dots, and all of a sudden that movie just put it together. Because in the state of South Dakota, about 10 years ago, for 7 years, I worked with the state through a women's organization, bringing awareness to human trafficking. But I had no idea about the satanic, that goes along with that. Well, anyways, God made me watch your video, or that video, 3 times. And I didn't know why, but on the 3rd time, up in the corner of the video, there's a man's name by Charlie Freak. And I didn't know who Charlie Freak was. And I was like, I need to find out who Charlie Freak is. Well, finally, when school got out in May, I haven't stopped watching you. And then I found Justin. And then I found Santos. And then I found Bill Donahue. And then I can't stop. So what you guys have done is you have connected the dots for me, and you've given me the proof to share the truth. And it has not been an easy journey at all. And so I just want to say thank you. And I had all these questions I wanted to ask you, but God bless this show tonight, because JC touched on these things. And then Jacqueline touched on these things. Like, it's just amazing. So because we did talk about, Colleen, you said you were a Catholic, and I'm married into a Catholic family, and they're struggling a little bit with their mother doing a complete 180. I just would like to ask, and you kind of touched on it. So we have like these Catholic Bible, and you have these crucifix and things like that. I did kind of go through my house and I took it all and I just threw it away. But because I have 2 children and a husband, I respected them. If they wanted those things in their room, then fine. But I would like to know, do I throw those away? Do we burn them? Do we bury them? Because I don't want to, I've been disrespectful enough to God. I just don't want to continue that. So what do we do with those things?
Turn them to dust. Turn them to dust, as Jesus Christ said in the Bible. They're all going to return. This is the glorification of the hands of man, and the only temples made in the history of creation that were not made by the hands of man are your 2 temples. Your 2 temples is the church of God, and you are to go within. And if you say that in a Catholic church, they will literally stone you to death, because that is the truth, and they cannot have that. The same thing with not allowing Catholic priests to be able to have some kind of marriage or companionship with somebody else, and then all of their desires become perverted over time, and then they're raping the nuns, and when the nuns begin to fight back and defend themselves, then they rape the children. Now think about this in the Catholic Church. Why is it with all of these wonderful Catholic choirs, they never have women in the Catholic choirs? For the sopranos, it's always little boys. You ever notice that? Why are the altar children always altar
Usually,
boys?
Because
these demons are not holy men, they're demons. And what they do is they put sexually frustrated individuals with very flexible moral values. They put them in these churches next to little boys, because they know eventually the greatest sin on earth will take place. And this is why Catholic churches have, and let's face it, it's become virtually all of Western religion. Right. And this is why those churches have such bad energy and bad vibes. Trust what you're feeling, trust what you're seeing, because it's all real. Everything is energy. And so they're evil, and everything that they've done is to obfuscate the truth and to deny you. And like I said, what do I teach? And it's in the book of Matthew, but famously in the book of Luke 11:52. What does Jesus Christ say? Jesus says, and woe to you, lawyers, Pharisees, and scribes of the church, who do not do the work and go within yourselves, and worse yet, you prohibit those that are doing the work to go within themselves and prohibit them from doing so. Yeah. I'm sorry, but that's the teaching of Jesus Christ in the Bible. The kingdom of heaven is within you. If you haven't seen my video on the takedown of organized religion from A to Z, kind of a companion to the takedown of the cabal from A to Z, I highly recommend. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people have watched it, and the comments are overwhelming. It's 26 powerful passages as a story by Jesus Christ in the King James 1611 version of the Bible. And Jesus tells you in these 26 passages precisely what God is, where God is, how you get there, what you're supposed to do. And it's all laid out in plain sight. It's so simple. And that's not me. Those are the actual literal words attributed to Jesus Christ. So we live in a very sick world. Earlier, Jacqueline was talking about Dan Rather showing up to some organization that was raising money on their own for orphan children and whatnot, and they were doing a great job, and they were getting all of their money from donations. They weren't taking money from the government. And then suddenly she said that suddenly, virtually all these good people that were associated were forced out of it, and then everything sort of changed. Well, here's something for all of you to hear, that in the last 110 years, virtually all of these charitable organizations that do things to help children have all been set up by the cabal, and they're all set up by demons. And what in most cases, these women that set up these charitable foundations or set up orphanages for kids like Mother Teresa are men. They're men pretending to be women. You think they're women, but they're the ugliest women you've ever seen. And boy, it would be mean to say, but it's like that old lady, she sure looks like a man, because she is a man. And the older they get, the harder it is to fake it, because they are men. And so Dan Rather showing up there is not a good sign, because who is Dan Rather? Well, he just happened to be there out of nowhere on the JFK assassination in Dallas, spinning a story. And it was Dan Rather that single-handedly changed the first rifle that was found from a German-made Mauser to an Italian, Mannlicher Carcano. And then, he becomes the head of broadcasting, the head position, broadcasting the news on CBS and whatnot. These are demons, and they're allowed to have those positions because they eat children. And that's what the church is designed to do. If you don't connect to God by raising Jesus Christ within you, by living the teachings of Jesus Christ, then you are Cain. And Cain ate Abel. Cannibal is Cain ate Abel. We're the ones that decoded it for you, and that's the truth in plain sight. And if you're not godly, you'll end up eating children, guaranteed, because that's where that path leads. It always leads to end up eating children.
And the crazy part is that we were Luciferian without even knowing it. They were teaching us to be.
One
the
way.
whole system was teaching us to be satanic. And how many of us, without even knowing it, have eaten human beings?
If you're partaking in Taco Bell and McDonald's, just two for sure, you've eaten humans. And likely, if you've ever eaten ground beef or sausages or hot dogs, you're eating people. Like I said, the movie with Charlton Heston in 73 or 74, Soylent Green.
Yeah.
There's the truth in plain sight.
And
it is.
The whole point is, though, we've all been MK Ultra'd. We've all been down this road, this journey together. But when we know better, we have to do better. And that's the whole thing. We don't beat yourself up, but you got to do better. We have to do better. And then we share that with everybody around us. And yes, of course, there's going to be many people who don't listen, because the cognitive dissonance and the ego is so strong. It's such a part of the MK Ultra program that we've been schismed. And so the left brain is just inured inside of us to not do what is right. But you have to. That's the whole process of balancing ourselves and as we like to say, slaying the dragon, right? Just getting rid of all of that evil crap that's been placed inside of us, and it's right from religion to our education system, and you lived it all. What a beautiful baby. And so thank you for being in the belly of the beast in all of those situations, and for being the best teacher of the year, because I believe you have been. And look at you, the courage,
the strength,
wow.
The connection to God. Why do you think God came to you, Katie? Because you did the work, because you believe. And he'll come to anyone and everyone that does the work and who truly believes. Yeah. So you did it.
And your light is shining bright, and thank you. And I know everybody in the chat is just loving everything you've said. So thank you for absolutely listening to God and coming on here tonight, just like everybody else that did.
Yes. So knowing that, like I said, we raised our two kids as Catholics, and every night when I would write in my notebook, I'd hit my husband, I'd wake him up for 30 seconds, and I'd share with him, hey, I don't think I'm supposed to eat meat. And he'd be like, and then, roll over. So my children and Matt, his name is Matt, they've witnessed me going through all of this. But then Colleen, you just mentioned the cognitive dissonance. When this event happens, will that change? Or do I just keep living in the light and the hope and let them choose their path?
Yes, that's all that Jesus ever teaches. Jesus only says that you must become the light of the world, and then the only good that you can do in this world is by being the light of the world. If you quit your journey and get into arguing with your family, then
it's kind of satanic because you're denying their free will. God gave everybody the gift of free will. So the only way that you can influence others is by being the light of the world. And then the thing is how it's so easy to see, Katie. How can your husband and children not see the light, the honesty, the integrity, the strength, the courage, the truth that is within you when it's so evident to see for Colleen, Justin, and I right now, and I'm sure for everyone in the chat room? It is so easy to see. It just must mean that they are so deeply inured, and this is the problem with the Catholic Church, because it's just the biggest lies all the time. And the Eucharist is cannibalism. Who are the creators of the Catholic Church? They're Canaanites. What is this war against? It is the takedown of the cabal. Cabal is Cain. This is you know how the Q always says this is biblical? It does. It goes right back to Cain and Abel. It's all about Cain versus Abel. It's about left brain, right brain. It's about the human ego versus saying, nope, I'm not taking any more thought, as Jesus said, and I will only allow the thought of God, which is, manna from heaven. I will only allow the thought of God within me, and it's all I do. So if people think that I tell all incredible truths, and how do I know all these things? It is only because I simply stopped taking any thought for my life. I take this work seriously. So does Colleen. We take this very, very seriously. And I think that's why we were chosen to play the role that we played. And remember, the interesting, unique thing about Colleen and I being outside of the Q team is that we're not beholden to the specific plan or series of events that they have. So they may feel that the release of truth needs to come in increments. That's not my way. That's not Colleen's way. It is not our way. We tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And to that end, we're very important because we can be dismissed as a couple of kooks, as just two people. That's it. It's easy to dismiss the two of us. But for those that want to find the truth, we're here. We're here, and it's all here. So the Q team will not at this point really go out of their way and tell you the truth about Mother Teresa being Father Teresa and being a Jesuit and being a murderer.
Eventually, all of this will be disclosed. We absolutely believe what they say.
That's
when
right.
They say full disclosure, but it may be in the beginning. It might be a slow disclosure.
That's right. So, but it's coming. Today it started. There's no stopping.
Oh yeah.
Make no mistake.
I want everybody to go and take a look on Telegram, and I want you to look at the Sacred Blue Tent channel.
Yes, I started following that from the show the other night when somebody mentioned it. Yeah.
The channel just started, but holy cow, are they dropping incredible stuff tonight about the elites, the so-called Illuminatis, the higher ups, the 13 bloodline families, and what they've been up to. So take a peek at that, and they wouldn't be releasing this stuff right now if it wasn't.
It's go time.
Finale.
It's go time. This is the finale.
So
everything has to start coming out.
We are in epic times right now.
So like I say, you live in a world, and we live in a world where you're not even allowed to speak the truth, because if you were to mention World War II as anything but what they tell you, hey, in 13 European countries, you go to jail if you mention something, if you deny the Holocaust. The Holocaust occurred to the German people, who were the good ones. The German people, Adolf Hitler, were the good ones. Oh, Charlie, that's great. No, they were the good ones. That's why they invaded Russia, to take communism off the face of the earth, because they knew what they were doing to children. Why did Abraham do what he did with the Civil War? To get rid of the vampires that were living in the south of the U.S. that were put there by the Illuminati. This is Cain versus Abel. It always has been. And what you're seeing is that these people are all tied together. That Donald Trump is connected to the Kennedy family. The Kennedy family was connected to Adolf Hitler. Joseph Kennedy got fired as the American ambassador to Great Britain because of his unwavering support of Adolf Hitler as a goodly, godly man, and posed no danger to the rest of the world or the United States. And John Kennedy, when he toured weeks after the end of World War II, John Kennedy kept a personal diary about his tour of Germany, And what did John Kennedy say? Constant comments about Adolf Hitler being the most misunderstood person, and probably will go down in history as the most misunderstood person, and that in time people will come to see an entirely different viewpoint of Adolf Hitler in Germany. Wow, wow. And then who are the Kennedys connected to? Kennedys are connected to Henry Ford, and Henry Ford is connected to Adolf Hitler. They were like all basically best friends, and that Henry Ford's favorite president of all time was Abraham Lincoln, and that the Kennedys revered Abraham Lincoln. And now we're finding out with this Jesus strand that the bloodline of Jesus runs right through Abraham Lincoln, right through the Kennedys. And this is why you see a tiny group of people that fought to take down Cain versus Abel, cannibal. They've been eating our children from the beginning. Cain did not murder and bury Abel, he ate him. It's cannibalism 101. That's what they do. And so Jesus is real. All of this is real. And all we have to do is cast our nets to the right. So all you have to do, Katie, is trust in God. He knows you love your husband. He knows how much you love your children. All you need to do now is continue to do the work. Please don't stop, because the world desperately needs someone like you to continue doing what you're doing. You have no idea. What did Jesus say in the Bible? One of these awakened ones are worth thousands of the fallen ones. Just one awakened one is worth thousands of the fallen ones, because it's our vibration is here, and we broadcast this righteous energy to the whole world. Their energy is down in the root Muladhara chakra, which is right near their bowels, and their lives are full of shit, and people are full of shit, and it's just pain and suffering, but
it's a free will choice, and we have family as well that are not quite there yet, and we're hoping the same thing. But honestly, it's free will, so it's totally up to them what they do when the disclosure's there, because there's riding the fence right now, or there's But I just wanted to say one more thing. I just wanted to say that we can't really judge these people. It's not fair to do that, because they've been inundated with vaccines. They've been inundated with MK Ultra programming. The younger children, like my younger children, obviously they've been MK Ultra'd with playing those video games and all of the subliminal programming that's been in there. So they've been hit from every freaking angle. And I grew up in the country playing with animals, so I didn't have that programming that they have. So for me to judge them and say, well, why are they not like me? Well, it's because there's a lot of reasons why, and God will work miracles. Absolutely, He will, and I have to have faith that those that aren't with me right now are absolutely going to be with me. But that's totally up between God and them. And my job is, like Charlie keeps saying, just shine the light bright. Keep that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and keep your foundation built on that rock, so that when they reach out and they need something to grab hold of, you have a sturdy base. You've built your foundation on the truth. You are that bright shining light for them to find in the darkness. But it might sound harsh, but the Bible talks about don't cast your pearls before swine. So don't take and spend your beautiful, bright energy on those who are not willing to hear it, because you're only just going to burn yourself out and squander that gift of God. And so, yeah, that's all it's saying there.
And that's what the ego wants. It wants you to squander your beautiful energy on those that are not able to hear you. They can't hear you because they're in a lower vibration. But it's up to them, and they may just wiggle up one day, and then they can do something about it, and they will.
Can you tell I just lived through that? I mean, Justin and Colleen, that's exactly, and my husband will attest to this, what you two just said. I've been living in the ego this week. I mean, that's all I can say, really. So in Arizona, my son, we went to a board certified environmentalist because I've had it. I've had it with pharmaceuticals. I've had it with MDs. I've had it. My son started developing these grand mal seizures, and nobody was asking why. Why? Well, we went down to Arizona. We saw this wonderful doctor, and he said, Katie, he had vaccines. The vaccines caused this. And then you have all these chemicals that these schools are spraying for COVID. He's in high school, so he has 8 periods. So 8 periods, they're cleaning and spraying and things like that. So 2 miracles happened this week. Number one, we went to Arizona and we saw an environmentalist who says, we're going to do this the right way. We're going to use, vitamins and minerals and good living food. We're going to do it that way. The second miracle is on Monday when I went to the school to say, my son can't come to school because, well, number one, we know it's a toxic environment because of the chemicals, but not only that, they're brainwashing them. And the school said, well, we can't work with you. And I said, thank you. You just gave me permission. And for my son to say, well, I guess, Mom, you get your wish. You get to homeschool me. Because that's what I've wanted ever since God has awakened me to things. I didn't want my kids to go to school. I didn't want to teach anymore because I didn't want to teach lies anymore. And I taught 2nd grade in a Catholic school. So that's when they're receiving communion and having to go to confession for the first time. And when God told me not to do those things, it was a battle because I was supposed to teach it, but I knew it was wrong. That's why it was the worst. It was the worst year because they wanted me to teach the lie, but I couldn't. In good conscience, I couldn't. And then, and so then now I got my son home, and now I get to reveal the truth. And my daughter, she's in college, but that was her choice. Even though I begged and begged her not to do it, that's her choice. But I did tell her, we might have a story like the prodigal son, but it might be the daughter and you'll return to the mother. And this mother will always love you. And when you realize that your mother has told you the truth, she will have open arms. And we're not going to sacrifice calf, but she's going to love you and we're going to celebrate your homecoming. And I say that for my husband and for my son and for my immediate family, no matter what. So I don't have any more questions. Well, I actually have one suggestion, but I'm going to wait for a second. Can I show you this? So look at this. So earlier this week, you were on a video and you talked about how you guys were on an island. And I'm sure there's many members in our family here at FreakSense that also agree that they're an island. And I truly am an island here in South Dakota. But my janitor in May, when I resigned from my position, called me and asked me to share with him spiritual awakening. And I was like, well, I'll just share with you my journey. And before I went to Arizona, he gave me this gift. He made it for me. And it's a piece of wood and then a piece of like red bark and then the pine cone, because I've taught him all about the pineal gland. And this will remind me of the highs and lows of everything I've gone through, and I will never go back. I'm awake and I'm doing the work, and I just think it's so beautiful. And I wanted to share that with you. And I'm just so grateful for the gift that God gave him to me, and then this beautiful gift that he has given to me as well.
Wow.
I just wanted to share that with you.
So an amazing story, Katie. And let me reiterate again, you can put the load on my shoulders for now. Encourage as many people as possible in your life, if they have the courage to do it, to watch the takedown of organized religion from A to Z. You cannot fight this. I don't do anything but simply share with you the teachings of Jesus Christ in the Bible, in his words, and it tells you that the kingdom of heaven is within you. It is only by the straight and narrow path, and that there is a broad and spacious way, and it always leads to disaster, and the many will take it, and they will always turn to disaster. And the few populate the straight and narrow way, but it is the only way. When you start learning about human physiology, what's the only way into the third ventricle of the brain? There is a passage in the
right hemisphere of your brain down here that goes right past the cerebellum, and it's called the fourth ventricle, and it is straight and it is narrow, and your spine is straight and it is narrow, and your spine is the S-pine. And the S is the most misunderstood letter in history because they deny it. The S is the mother rising within you, Kundalini, uncoiling herself 3.5 times, because each circle is 360 degrees. 3.5 uncoils is 1260. What is again, Charlie, you're great. No, what is the book of Revelation all about? It's the number 42 and the number 1260. And the only way you can get 42 to 1260 is multiplied by 30. 30 degrees of separation. 12 times 30 is 360. 24 times 30 is 720. 72, 3 days and 3 nights in the temple. 360 degrees, wearing the crown by raising the chrysamal. And 42 days, what does the book of Revelation teach us? That she fled from the city for 42 days into the wilderness, and there she found a house in the wilderness that God made ready for her. And there for 1260 days, she took only nourishment from God. It's all what we're talking about. It's all about this Eastern spiritualism, that Hindu stuff or whatever. It's all teaching you the truth. It's all teaching you the truth. You must raise the mother within you. That's Mary. That's why we've spent so much time teaching about magnetism, which is a scalar wave, and magnetism rises, and that is feminine and negative, and it's the milk of Mary and Joseph and Mary. It's all so perfect. Your spine is the S-pine tree. You must raise your Christed energy within you to illuminate the pineal gland, which activates the fornix, which rolls open the chamber to the bridegroom, and there the father and the mother are married, and you are the best man. You are Jehovah's Witness because you did the work, and you are there to create the Holy Trinity, the real family. And until we get to this one point that Mother Earth is real, and that God is real, and that Jesus Christ is real, that we're going to continue to suffer. And once you know that they're real, then you take the load off of Fanny and you put the load entirely upon God's massive shoulders. And he can handle any weight because he's the creator of all. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not the things that I say?
And the other thing, Katie, is there absolutely are going to be things that will alleviate these vaccines and alleviate all of these symptoms that we have of heavy metal and all of this other, whatever they've been inundating us with. They have cures out there, and they will be dispensing them for us.
Yeah, there's things to apply to your teeth. Very simply, just gently swishing these micro bacterial organisms within that can get anywhere within your gums and your teeth, and they're going to heal all of our teeth, all the stuff that they did with crowns, all of this evil. And in the future, if you think that there's going to be hospitals, guess again. If you think there's doctors anymore, forget it. If you think there's going to be dentists anymore, forget it. God made you the creme de la creme, the highest of highs, the holiest of holies. You just need to be taught your power. So God didn't make a single dentist. If he thought that was important, he might have done something about that, but he didn't. God didn't make a single doctor, not a single one. They're lying to you about everything. The power exists within us by connecting to God, by raising Jesus Christ. They cannot stress this enough. Jesus, and that's with 888 books that and more that have been withheld from us, that tell the wholeness of this story from the New Testament, but just what's there teaches you everything you need to know for now to get to the kingdom of heaven.
And Katie, I also was thinking when you were telling me your story about you went to Arizona and there were you went to the natural healer, which is awesome. Also in conjunction, if you want to get a hold of Tony Wheel, please
watch her show every week with Justin.
Exactly. So, and then she can give you a lot of ideas as well. And I just saw her on there on the chat saying something, and I'm like, absolutely, please get a hold of Tony. And
okay, I will do that.
And just so everyone knows, Katie as well, this Sunday night, if there's still internet, this Sunday night we're going to be. Yeah, hope there's not. But we're
if
going
there
to be.
is-
But if there is, we're going to be doing the next installment of the Fireside Chats, and
Tony's going to be there.
Tony's going to be part of it.
Justin's going to be there.
Yeah,
Eugene's going to be
Eugene,
there.
yeah.
Maybe
And-
Shani and Dante.
And what's the new nickname that Amy gave Eugene? Eugenius. She calls
Yeah.
Eugene Eugenius. It's hilarious and true. Justius and
And
Eugenius.
no, Eugene doesn't usually wear a shirt, so get over it. He's our Mowgli. He is our shirtless wonder.
Yeah, for sure. So, and the title of the show is going to be, what do we say it again? It's
Food for thought.
for thought.
Food for thought.
Food for thought. So this is all the foods that you eat that gift you thought from God, that take you to the right, that casting eye net to the right. So it's going to be a great show.
Okay, well, I have a suggestion for another show that you should do. Okay, because I'm still learning and I have kids, and you have the holiday season coming up, the traditional holiday season. It would be nice to know, and maybe you've already done a video or know somebody who has. I would love to learn, like, what holidays are we celebrating that we shouldn't be celebrating? And then the reverse. What holidays should we be celebrating that we're not? And how do we do that? Because I'm learning about, what do you do during the full moon, the meditating and the fasting. So, but I'm learning. And so I would love to learn about the holidays as well. So that's just a suggestion. And that's really all I have. So, yeah.
That's a beautiful suggestion, and I love it because it coincides with the whole idea of what we need to do with the calendar and how we live our life throughout the cycle of the year. And absolutely, that would be brilliant.
And on our Rumble channel, Colleen and I did a video a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and it's the truth about Christ Mass, and that is a must watch. It teaches you the whole truth about it, what it's all about. And we can do a show on what are these true holidays. When we were talking the other night on one of our fireside chats, the group asked if I would talk to them about the calendar we should have moving forward. And of course, there are 13 moons every single year, just like the chrism oil is released within its 13 moons, and just like every single woman has a menstrual cycle 13 times per year. So it's all about 30. And 13 times 28, which is all the same, none of this 30, 31, 28, and 29, and I'm so confused, I can't remember now. If you have 13 moons of 28 days, it makes 364 days a year. And that's perfect. People go, but Charlie, you're a day short. You're a day and a quarter short. And I always say, no, it's perfect, because the day and a quarter left over is for God. And we don't count time. We don't go to work. We don't eat. We don't take kids to sports. We don't do any of this stuff. We dedicate that day and a quarter to God. Mm-hmm. I don't think I can give up not watching football for a day and a quarter. And that's right in the middle of bowl season. So no, you want to take your life seriously. You want to see yourself as the child of God and the shepherd of this planet and the highest of highs and the holiest of holies. You have to start doing the work. So day 365 would be this day in meditation to God in stillness and silence. And then what would the 13th month be? It would be Christos. It would be the Christ month. Why don't we have a month to celebrate Jesus? Why don't we have a day to celebrate Jesus? Why? Because these fake Jews have created this entire system that denies. And why is our Sabbath day Sunday when it's so clearly taught that the Sabbath is the seventh day, which is the Saturday? Saturday is Saturday, which is the Sabbath day, and we celebrate it on a Sunday. It's all backwards, purposefully, to turn us into complete idiots. And so think about this. The very last day of every single year would be the 21st day of the Christ month, and then we would have our one day in complete stillness and silence to God, where we don't calculate time, just none of this silliness. And then the very first day of this new year would be the 22nd day of the first month, which is Aries, which they call March, but really should just be called Aries, because Aries is an anagram for a man rising, arise. Aries is arise, and that is the new year every year. And so think about the significance of these days, how perfect this is. 22 is the sacred number of our sacred mother, Virgin Mother Mary. 22 is the sacred feminine, is the sacred numbers, numerology is 22 for the sacred feminine. And we have to be born again every single month through the mother. So the first day of every month has to be the 22nd day of every month, because that's being born again of the mother. We live on this physical plane. She is who borns all of us into existence. And then think of the beauty of this. The last day of the year, of every month, would be the 21st, which is utter perfection, because that's 3 sevens. Ching, ching, ching. You know, pull the levers. 7, 7, 7 is 21. What's 21? 2, mother, father, plus 1, child, Jesus Christ, equals 3, which is the Holy Trinity. And this is the whole point of our journey, is to create the Holy Trinity. That's why we have to rise. We have to raise the mother. She never goes anywhere empty-handed. She always brings the baby with her. That is baby Jesus, rising for 33 vertebrae or 33 spine, or 33 years in the Holy Land, which is us. And rising up into heaven. Mother, father, child in heaven together. And that is the 21st day. And then every month we're born again of the mother. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And what we've been practicing is absolutely insanity. The September, siete, September, sept, siete is 7, and it's the 9th month of the year, and nobody has a problem with this. October is Octo is 8, and it's the 10th
Isn't
month.
that crazy?
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy, and we never question. We're just like September 7, yeah. October.
Noviembre, Novo is 9. Yeah, but it's the 11th. And Deca is 10, but December, Deca is 12 instead of 10. It's all designed to keep us
March
disconnected
was
from
always
God.
meant to be the first month.
Aries,
Arising. So we didn't mean to do a podcast on it right now.
It was just an introduction, that's all. Well, thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate it. And thank you to the Freak Sense family. You guys have just been so wonderful and supporting one another and teaching one another. It's been a beautiful, beautiful experience since I've joined it.
Awesome. Thank you for being there, Katie.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Oh, our pleasure, Katie. Our pleasure. What an honor to have you on the show. And once again, God put you here tonight on this show purposefully with everybody else who was on the show tonight. It's perfect. Justin, Colleen, and I have been noticing this for the last 6 weeks now. Every guest that we've been having is perfect for that show, and every week they're building. And so God is speaking very highly of you, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sweetie.
Yeah, thanks, sister.
We hope to see you soon.
Me too.
All our love to your family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, our puppies are getting excited.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Someone said, is there only 10 months? Are we only supposed to have 10 months? No. We're absolutely supposed to have 13 moons. So we'll get into that in another video, though.
13 months, still 12 zodiacs. It's yeah, but yeah, we can get into more details in a future podcast.
Squaring of the circle. And what's always left over is the pineal gland, which is the capstone of the pyramid. Trust me, it's all perfect. It's all perfect. The 12 zodiacs still fit with the 13. The dates are a little different. Does that not mean that you are who you are? It doesn't matter what somebody says about this astrological thing that, to be this way you have to be a Cancer. You are who you are. Be yourself. Doesn't matter if it bumps you out of one astrological sign into another. They're
It-
approximations because it's the changing of energies within you. So that's all it is. You got nothing to worry about. It
Go
doesn't.
ahead, Justin.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's not going to shift your zodiac sign because it's just going to shift the day that you were born on in this new calendar. But you're still going to be born under that star group, and this is so this doesn't change, but the days will shift around for sure. Yeah, beautiful show. Wow, just absolutely incredible. Um, I did before I forget, did want to remind everyone that our website is up and running. So we've Tony's been working tirelessly to get that going, and it's ready for people to join. You can hop on and test it. So there's a link to that in the show notes for anyone who wants to hop on there and check it out. And yeah, so hop on there, sign up for a profile, and you can start communicating. And this will be a space where we can, if you haven't heard us mentioning it before, this is a space where we can get away from the tech censorship and just these ideas that we can't share the truth and we can't commune with our family in a direct and open way. So our website is just going to be a safe space to do that. And yeah, and it looks beautiful. Tony's done an absolutely fantastic job. So
Rules on it.
yeah, there might be trolls that join it, but we'll get rid of them too. But
Yeah. And I'm posting stuff every day there now. And just so you know, won't be too much longer. That's the only place I'll be posting stuff. So it's
And that'll allow Charlie the time to write the books that he's
that's
promising
right.
us all the time.
That's right.
So yeah, it's going to be great if we can just hone into one space and then you can all join and it'll be awesome to have our family on this beautiful platform.
Integrity,
Freak Sense
authenticity,
world.
freedom. Yeah.
amazing. Well, that's all I got for tonight. Y'all got anything else to close out?
Sunday night's going to be an amazing show. And again, Tony will be live with us from Florida. And of course, we'll be live here at the homestead. And Tony will be joining us via the internet from Florida.
And what time?
I think we're always doing that 8 o'clock, and the reason is because our days are so busy. It's a scramble to get this done by 8 o'clock. So we have so much work with the animals, and Justin has to come over and do an enormous amount of work to get everything set up and prepared for the shows. And he does such a great job, makes it look so great. So a lot of hard work and effort that go into doing these things because we really have very little time to do them.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. It's always enjoyable to do that. And the 8 o'clock time does give the enough time for the sun to go down too, so we can enjoy the firelight as well.
Exactly. It'll be
So reiterate to everybody, it started today. Mark it down. September 24th. If you want to remember that and you want to remember the Gregorian calendar, that's up to you. But on the Julian calendar, this is September 11, 2013. And on September 11th, the movement to eliminate this disease system, the cabal's already gone, but to eliminate this disease system, it started today. Make no mistake about it. Colleen and I are sharing this with you deeply from within ourselves, what's been going on, and that's what we know. We're feeling letting go of the incredible hard work that we've done of the last 4 years. It feels the end of an era, an end of a journey. And so it started today.
And just to let you know, the Telegram channel, it honestly doesn't really matter. We have two sites right now, but what we were describing last time was that there was a Charlie Freak YouTube or Telegram channel, and that it wasn't us, but all of our stuff is being shown on this Charlie Freak channel. Excuse me. So it's okay if you're belonging to that one and it isn't actually us. I'm not sure. It must be.
Honestly, we've shifted our thought on this, and we believe strongly that it's because they know that Telegram is the place to be. I honestly think it's the white hats that are doing this, and they've been doing an amazing job. They don't miss a single video.
So every
they do a
post
better
we
job
put
than I do.
out is going on to Charlie Freak as well, and Tony also has set up on there. We have a Freak Sense World, and gosh, I forget what the other one is.
Freak Sense World Chat, I think it's the group chat.
So yeah, so don't panic. It's all good.
Oh, and Donald Trump also posted today. He said, "Christmas in September." I kind of like that.
Il Donaldo.
That's right. Il Donaldo said Christmas in September. I kind of like that. So it's Christmas in September. And Colleen and I, last night or the night before, we watched yet another Mel Gibson movie. And this one is called Get the Gringo. And it was 2012 or 2013. It was written by Mel. He starred in it. He didn't direct it. But this movie, you might ask, why did he do it and the role that he played and stuff. Holy shit. It just shows the problem moving forward. He's showing one grubby little Mexican prison near Tijuana in the north of Mexico, and he's showing you how this connects to every evil person in the world, how the American border police were all in on this, how everyone within Mexico is corrupted by this because of the money. The prisons in Mexico, and he's right, prisons in Mexico are run as businesses. It's incredible. And also in the movie, he pretends to be Clint Eastwood, patriot to patriot. He pretends to be Clint Eastwood, and in doing what he does to need to take down this mafia boss, he goes through this shipping magnate who's in San Diego. San Diego is controlled by the CIA, just in case you were wondering. And so there's a shipping magnate in San Diego that he involves with this plot to bring in this mafia boss. And that's because this shipping magnate in San Diego does business with the mafia boss, but they don't like to talk about what the business is. And the shipping magnate specializes in cargo ships and shipping cargo containers around the world. The inference cannot be missed in this. They're simply showing how the trafficking of children, the adrenochrome process, is tied to everything. And what Mel is basically saying in the movie, it's a great movie, by the way, it's so well done. But what he's showing, it is dark, but that's our reality. But what Mel is simply saying is that the work just begins with this, because what he showed is that everybody has been corrupted by, and this is what the book of Revelation said and taught you, everyone is corrupted because they've all been sucking from the tit of the Babylon whore. Everyone values money. And so the only way to get money in this demonic system is to do things that are evil or that don't work for the benefit of our health or our life. So that's what Mel's showing. If this is just one grubby little prison in what? Hundreds of thousands of grubby little prisons in Mexico, and that's just one, then we have a massive problem moving forward, because everyone is connected. The local politicians are connected. The police are connected. Everyone, the guy in the American embassy, that's what he does. He just waits for Americans who get thrown in there, and then he knows, that they've tried to escape the country, so he wants a cut of whatever stash, and he can help to get them out, and he wants his cut. They're all in it. The entire system has been structured to allow wiggle room for demonic people to do demonic things. The entire world has been structured this way, anticipating that people will make the wrong choices and do the wrong things. And that's what Mel points out. We have so much work to do, because the entire town is just run by sucking off the Babylon tit. And it's all Satanism. It's all Satanism. It's pure and simple, all Satanism. And it's in the States, it's in Canada, it's in Mexico, it's everywhere. You can't escape it. This is the biggest thing that they have done, is they've created the real disease, which is them, and they have infected billions and billions, if that's how many people there are. They've infected billions of us with this disease, which is Canaanites. Cain ate Abel.
Truth in plain sight. Yeah, all of these movies are going to be a lot of fun to watch together and decode once we have a platform that we can do this on. So I'm excited about that. Eugene and I watched Heart of Darkness the other night, which is another great Mel Gibson movie. So yeah, there's and I think that one's up on the Linktree. I think I got that one uploaded, but I'll work on getting this one up as well, and some other ones that we've mentioned.
It's called Edge of Darkness versus then the Heart of Darkness. But Justin's right. It is an amazing. And you ask yourself, how did that movie get made if there aren't white hats? Again, how did the Matrix movies get made? When was that? That was 1999. John Kennedy's plane went missing in 1999. Why did the Lord of the Rings suddenly come out? They started filming it in 99, and then why was Peter Jackson? Nobody knew Peter Jackson. He wasn't in Hollywood. He's in New Zealand. Why did Peter Jackson make those Lord of the Ring movies starting in 2001? Why did those divine Harry Potter movies start in 2001? Do you see what? And V for Vendetta 2005. Do you not see this? From 99 on, they knew what was coming with 9/11. From 99 on, there is a group of white hats that had power enough to make these movies. And where was The Matrix made? Australia. Where's the Lord of the Rings film? You can say it. New Zealand. So these are films that are done outside. Harry Potter movies were made in Europe. They were not made in Hollywood. So all of these movies were made outside of Hollywood, and they powerfully tell you the truth. There is a group of goodly, godly people that have, when the cabal ramped up their game, they ramped up their game. When they set all of this technology that they stole from us and then applied to us to spy on us, because like I said, when you find out how deep and detailed the records are on each one of you, it'll make you throw up. So when they did all of that, it gave the NSA the ability to use the same technology on them. And then we had them, because in this sick and diseased society, we're going to have to provide evidence in their diseased way to sort of start this all off. We had to catch them. Just like Justin was saying about the insurrection on January 6th, why everything happened the way that it happened. It's again to catch all of these assistants, anyone else that was perhaps slipped through this process, and we caught them all, and we just keep catching them all. And don't kid yourselves for a sec. That MS-13 was very real, and what they were created to do mostly was traffic children, and what they were used for is to become the Antifa rioters and things like this. So they were used for a variety of things.
And assassinating the people.
And assassinating key people in different countries that were necessary, and then they get them in and they get them out.
And torture, the most vile of all assassins ever.
That's right.
MS-13.
But they were first and foremost to steal children. That's why Tom Hanks had powerful ties to MS-13. So Trump took out MS-13 during his presidency. Now, wrap your minds around that, you doubters. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? All those, like, you don't even have to give Colleen and I an apology. But what are you going to do when you're confronted with this truth? Are you going to stick in your pathetic little ego brain and continue to deny it and be a Satanist for the rest of time, writhing in hell, in the lake of fire? Or are you going to let go? Admit that you were wrong. What is that called? That's called letting go of your pride and giving it all up to God. There's no other way.
There's no other way. You either are all in with God or you're all in with Satan. You don't have a choice in this matter. Until you recognize this, your little half truths and half this and half that is going to always lead you back to Satan. And when you go to Satan, that's a Canaanite, and you will end up eating children. It always leads in the same pathway to the same ultimate outcome. It's your choice.
It's all a choice. Time to choose. It's the time of harvest.
Yeah.
So yeah, beautiful show. Great way to wrap up and end on a strong point. So yeah, thank you both for being here. I love you both so much, and I love everyone in the chat. Thank you all.
Thank you all for being here. We love you guys so much, and just hold the line. It's happening. Love you.
Yeah, and Justin, one other quick little thought here is that what I can absolutely share with you is that whomever Michael Brian Protzman is, and maybe he is Michael Brian Protzman, but who is Michael Brian Protzman? Whoever that is, that show was done on so many levels, because that's the level of intellect that this person holds. And much of that show was literally sort of a conversation between Michael and I, and he continually was sending me messages, and it's really weird. Over the last couple of days, I've just been having these things come back into my head about what he said, and then it's triggering memories within me that I hadn't accessed in ages, and they're all very good memories, and they're all very key memories about how God kept me away from people and put me into a reality where I was sort of allowed to be alone and grow up that way. It's really cool. So whomever Michael Brian Protzman is, he's telling you the truth. He's a patriot. He is powerfully connected to the Q team. Remember, he's the biggest single calm that came out along the way, because once Michael came out and started doing this, you knew that the end to this story was coming soon, because he's showing you that it's all about God, and that everything shows you in plain sight. Everything shows you that this is all about casting thy net to the right and being connected to God. And people so many of you in our family have just embraced all of this wonderful gematria that Brian or Michael has been sharing with you, and like Amy 333 and Christy and others, you just become warriors of this, and you're decoding things left, right, and center, and you're putting in what those numbers represent, and you just see the connections here. It's incredible. So
moving forward,
whoever Michael is, he is one special cat, and he is powerfully connected to all of this. You can't decode just through numbers the things that he's telling you. You have to have inside access information. So, and just remember on the show once again, them saying maybe a couple of things that you might have thought that we could have commented on or something like that. Now's not the time or the place. Remember, their plan is done in increments. Theirs is an incremental plan. They know better than anyone else how bad off the average person is. Colleen and I don't. We're here and we're necessary, but we can be easily dismissed as just two and a couple of crackpots. But the Q team has to sort of be a certain way. But just know this, the earth is level. There is a firmament, and the earth has never ever moved once. The sun and the moon. Nikola Tesla had this all right. Who are you going to listen to? Tesla or them? They're not telling you this yet because they just don't feel the masses are ready for this yet. And Adolf Hitler, I'm not wrong. My whole life was strangely connected to learning about the truth of this from my History 12 teacher, Mr. Trappler. Mr. Trappler in Canada, if you're out there, I love you, sir. Thank you for taking such an interest in
in my education and sharing the truth, and I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. We've got World War II all wrong, and Hitler's not a bad guy. He is a bright, shining light, and he's tied to this group. Whether he's of the Jesus strand or he was there to provide safety to the Jesus strand, it's hard to say. But when you look at who was connected to him, and powerfully, it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. Joe Kennedy gave up his position as American ambassador to Great Britain by unequivocally supporting Adolf Hitler 4 separate times, and finally, under pressure from the fake Jews, Roosevelt fired Joe Kennedy. And remember, the reason that Joe Kennedy got that position from FDR to have that, because they didn't want an Irishman in the court of St. James as the American ambassador to Great Britain. That was an insult to have an Irishman. Fuck you, you pieces of shit. But he got that because Joe Kennedy largely put together what is known as the Glass-Steagall laws. And the Glass-Steagall laws is what stopped another massive depression from occurring again, until in the last few days of Clinton's second term, it is 8 years, right near the end, Clinton repealed the Glass-Steagall laws, and guess what? Under George Bush, they created another earth-wide depression. They destroyed the economy, and it was all about betting on you failing. They made trillions on betting that each one of us would get sick, would get divorced, would lose our jobs. They're sick. This is evil beyond you can imagine. But what's coming is better than what you can possibly imagine. I promise you. I promise you. And I've told you, Colleen and I told you from the very first show we did, we're only here for one purpose, and that's to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help us God. And to the best of our ability, we've done that. That's it. We love you.
We do. We
Love
absolutely.
y'all. You sure you don't have 3 more hours in? We can top the other night.
I'm so tired right now. But God gave me a lot of energy to do this show because it was important. So
You can feel it.
Sending all our love and light to all of you out there who are feeling so tired and so weary, and who are being attacked in Australia and Canada and the UK and United States, everywhere, wherever you are that you're feeling oppressed. We're sending our love and our light to you.
And just remember, you probably didn't see it in Australia today, but there were massive pushbacks all over the place in Australia today from masses of people. Huge numbers are what they're reporting were rioting and pushing back. And these were ordinary people in many, many cases. So it's over. This is over. And we applaud all of you in Australia for being strong. You got picked on the worst. We told you why. And now you're doing something about it. And this is over. It's over. And we have to. And how we make amends to these children is we swear that this will never happen again. That's how you do it. And if you don't go to God, this will happen again. It's up to us.
We're going to do everything in our power to make sure that this never happens again.
All right. Love y'all. Have a good night.
Thanks, Justin. Love you, buddy. Thanks, Eugenius. Thank you, Amy.
And Shani and all the other people who are moderating, and Tony. Thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah, Tony, we'll see you Sunday.
And Christy.